6 o'clock, good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Bank Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Justin Hawkins. Arkansas beat Vanderbilt in the men's SEC tournament final yesterday, 86-75, behind a 30-point, 11-assist outing by Darius Acuff Jr., the Razorbacks' first title in the SEC tournament since back in 2000. In the NCAA tournament, the brackets are set. 10 SEC teams made the tournament. The one seeds are Arizona in the West, Michigan in the Midwest, Florida in the South, and Duke in the East. Locally, Tennessee gets the 6th seed in the Midwest region. They'll play on Friday versus the winner of Miami of Ohio and SMU. Vanderbilt, they're a 5 seed in the South region, and they'll play McNeese on Thursday. In Titans news over the weekend, Tennessee released cornerback L'Jarius Sneed on Friday, saving the Titans $11.4 million against the salary cap. Sneed becomes a free agent. Also, the Titans and wide receiver Calvin Ridley on Saturday agreed to a restructured contract that'll keep him in Tennessee for the 2026 season. And Saturday night, Nashville Soccer Club remains unbeaten after a 1-0 win at Columbus Crew and improves to 3-0-1 on the season. Hani Mukhtar scored his 150th career MLS goal, and goalkeeper Brian Schwacke recorded his 5th shutout in 7 matches this season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news you once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
A very good Monday morning to you in rainy and windy Nashville, Tennessee. This is Ramon and Will on 104.5 The Zone and 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Kicking off a brand new week. Kicking off one of the best weeks of the sports here. The Titans make big decisions on Calvin Ridley and L'Jarius Sneed. Vanderbilt takes down Tennessee on its way to the SEC tournament title and a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. And, SEC tournament title. Did I say NCAA? They did not win the NCAA tournament. And the Vols learned their fate, dropping to the 6th line as March Madness begins. We begin, though, with Arkansas. Woo Pig. 86-75, 30 points from Darius Acuff Jr., Ramon Foster. They are SEC tournament champions. Good morning.
Cal does it again, man. Good morning, Will. By the way, before we go into basketball, I have you to blame for my hypeness every morning now.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I figured out what it was.
Okay.
It's the coffee machine you told me that I should get. Well, you suggested it. I saw it, and I bought it, in free will situations, okay? The way this coffee maker grinds the coffee, okay, I feel like it's just leaving all the caffeine in the beans, not a single ounce of it left behind. I get this way when I drink coffee from home. I've tried the Wally coffee, a little bit different. That's
what we have here.
Yeah, this is what we have here in the studio. I've tried restaurant coffee. Don't hit the same as the way this machine grinds the beans up, okay? So for you, Will, muchas gracias.
Cheers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cheers.
okay. Thank you, question mark? I've never heard of a certain machine leaving more caffeine in the beans. I'm not sure that's the way it works.
Well, you know what? In my mind, I'm a believe that, okay? It's the same way that I guess Vanderbilt and everybody else just mind plays the Vols in big-time situations like this. Moving on to Arkansas.
Mind plays? What do you mean?
Yeah, the way he just beat us this past year. And, of course,
it's been Vandy's year, for sure.
It's been Vandy's year, no doubt about it. Congratulations to you guys. All right, that's enough of that, all right? So, I just hear...
we got 4 more hours of that for you today.
I know. Going into Lowe's, hardware stores, church now is warranted, though. Congratulations to them in the 5th seed, too, by the way, which I guess we have not varying opinions. It was like tough break for Vandy in that one, though, too.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about that this morning.
We'll talk about it for sure. But Calipari, man, getting one. I think, is it Arkansas's first SEC tournament win?
First since 2000.
Yeah, since 2000. I looked up last night, man, and it was there's a long list. I see why it's called, or we joke around and call it the Wildcat Invitational, the SEC tournament. One, because their fans travel. They travel big time, and I think Rupp Arena is hard to get into from time to time, where the tickets are expensive, or Nashville has just become a destination place.
They just have more fans.
Yeah. Either way, the record as far as winning SEC tournament championships is like 34 Kentucky, 4 Florida, 2 Vanderbilt, 2 Tennessee, Arkansas, and Auburn in there somewhere. It's like in the last 30, 40 years or something like that. It's just been a run that they've had, and it's fascinating that Coach Calipari is the head coach again, winning the SEC tournament. He's won it numerous times with Kentucky basketball as well, man. The man knows how to coach. He's, I guess, refined his method into how he's going to play ball too, and it was kind of fun watching them in this tournament.
Arkansas beats Vanderbilt yesterday 86-75. It was the year of Darius Acuff Jr. in the SEC this year. SEC Freshman of the Year, SEC Player of the Year, SEC Tournament MVP, 30 points, 11 assists for Arkansas, who wins its first SEC Tournament crown since 2000, and they're second overall. To your point, Kentucky has 32, Bama has 8, Tennessee and Florida 5, Auburn 3. Darius Acuff Jr., though, was a part of a very, very strong shooting day for the Razorbacks. They shot 63% from 3, 15 of 24. Honestly, I think it's amazing Vandy kept it as close as it did, considering how well Arkansas was shooting. And the same guys that took down Tennessee and Florida, for that matter, on Friday and Saturday, in Duke Miles and Tyler Tanner, just weren't able to hit as many of the tough shots in this game as they were on Friday and Saturday, especially Tyler Tanner, who kind of had the same kind of off game in this championship the way that Nate Ament did against Vanderbilt on Friday.
It's true. And like you said, they scored and contributed. Tyler Tanner scored and contributed, but not the way that he was expected to, man. Duke Miles, of course, leading the way in how he played ball as well. He's nice. He's a competitor. You see it in every single dribble he takes with the basketball and every single shot as well. But you bring up a valid point. Like, watching that game flow, and Vanderbilt went swinging. They swung. This was a rock fight for a little bit, man, and just blows going back and forth. But the answer, more than anything, and no pun and no correlation to him at all, is Darius Acuff Jr. When he needed a bucket, Arkansas needed one, he got one. But his ability to get to the rim was phenomenal. His ability to pass the ball around was great, too. And there was absolutely zero just worry in, I feel like they're benching him, and Coach Calipari and him, and just his teammates as well, man, because he took one from the sideline. He wasn't even ready for the ball. Ball hit him in the chest, almost went out of bounds. He grabbed it behind the three-point line, swished it. I'm just like, that's when you know you're in your bag and you're just good at what you do, and all those gym reps just matter. But you can't say anything about him without also mentioning Trevin Brazile down late. Brazil's defense around the rim, his ability to score and just create turnovers for them, and he became an attitude setter for Arkansas down the stretch too. As I said before, I know a lot of people don't like Cal probably, or Kentucky fans were ready to dismiss him because that thing had grown old. But you can tell the way he was able to keep DJ Wagner around and curate. To be quite honest with you, Darius Acuff Jr. just let him do his thing. I heard the commentators last night. I was listening to Ron Slay on ESPN's Bracketology last night. They was just saying this might be the greatest guard showing that John Calipari has had. And we're talking about Derrick Rose, right? We're talking about these level of guys. Heck, we're talking about DeJuan Wagner being in that conversation with them. And for him to just go on the tear the way he did, Vandy, it was an awesome fight. Valiant effort, but there was nothing that was going to stop Acuff Jr. And especially once Trevin Brazile got involved as well.
No, I agree. And I think if you have a team of Arkansas's talent level shoot 15 of 24 from 3, good luck.
Come on.
Good luck.
Come on.
You're going to have to find that margin somewhere else. And they about did in points off turnovers, Vandy, because they were able to force a lot of Arkansas turnovers, and they were taking care of the ball themselves. But John Calipari said it after the game, and he's right, that this game really just separated in the final 4 minutes. And
it did.
Vandy really went cold, and Arkansas stayed hot down the stretch in this one. Vandy had a 3 with 17:57 left to go up 1. They had a 9-4 spurt for their biggest lead at 55-49, and then they missed 12 of 13 shots. Tyler Nichols' 3 with 6:40 left, tied it at 66, but from there it was all Arkansas towards the end. So congrats to the Razorbacks.
It was.
First title since 2000, and John Calipari becomes the first SEC coach to win tournament championships at 2 different schools.
It's an awesome job. I still comment in our YouTube chat. You can catch us on there, also on Twitch and Twitter as well. But John says, honestly, I'm shocked Cal has done as well as he's done at Arkansas. That's the reason he was hired so fast. Like, I think his methods at Kentucky had grown old. There was a lot of money that was being poured into him to go get these one and dones. And right now, he's got a team of mature players. Like, Darius Acuff Jr. does play a huge part in that, but the fact that he's got DJ Wagner back, right? You just look at the role players. Like, he's got a solid 7 that he's playing with right now at Arkansas. Like, sometimes coaches need a new spin. They need a new, I guess, setting for them to just flourish in, and failure's good for these type of dudes. It's just like players have bad seasons. Like, watch the rebound. That shows the greatness in what they are. I'm not shocked by Cal doing it. I just didn't know he was going to do it this soon, I guess should be the answer.
I think the only thing that's really shocking is how much better he has been in Arkansas than Mark Pope has been in Kentucky.
Don't do that. Because they had a parade for when Mark Pope got there, man. I mean, just the way they painted it up, former player, alum.
It always felt like they were convincing themselves they crushed it.
It did.
And that they'd made the right decision.
Yes.
And I'm curious how Kentucky fans feel this morning, because you were out of the SEC tournament before Arkansas played its first game in the SEC tournament. And then they went on to win it.
I mean, he's same staff. I mean, he still can go get the number 1 guys.
It is interesting how you feel so prisoner of the moment at the SEC tournament.
Right.
And then the bigger tournament starts, and you forget about all of it pretty quickly. So Arkansas's legacy as a team will be set, fairly or unfairly, in what they do over the next 2-3 weeks.
Facts.
And that's just the reality of living in that 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 seed world. Like, it, good season. Now, what do you got for me in March? So it remains to be seen what the legacy of Arkansas basketball is for this year and moving forward based on how they do in the NCAA tournament. Because when you're at programs like that, that's all you're judged on.
It is.
But it's nice to have an SEC tournament title, and Kentucky would probably give anything to have even just an SEC tournament title, considering just how mid they've been all season. That's the only word that you could really use to describe them. It's a very mid team this year.
Middle of the road. Yeah, I agree with you there.
615-737-1045, live for the 1045 The Zone Circa Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circa Sports at Kentucky Downs. When we come back, the Titans make big decisions on Calvin Ridley and L'Jarius Sneed. We give you the details coming up next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. For over 50 years, Brentwood Jewelry has been proudly serving the Brentwood community with exceptional style and exceptional deals every day. As a family-owned and operated business spanning 3 generations, they are deeply rooted in this community. From Salem service in Special Forces to his sons serving as local firefighters, the Amamali family is dedicated to giving back. They're dedicated to giving you that family-owned experience when you walk in the doors of Brentwood Jewelry. In a time that is imperative to support local, shop Brentwood Jewelry. Guys, maybe you're walking in looking for that big gift. Maybe you're like me and you're walking in there looking for that engagement ring and you have no idea where to begin. Well, the Amamali family will take the stress out of the process for you. They're going to make things easy, and you're going to be able to tell quickly that, yeah, this is a family-owned business that wants what's best for the customer. BrentwoodJewelry.com is the website. You can find them at 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. That's Brentwood Jewelry. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. Online at BrentwoodJewelry.com. Monday morning on Ramon and Will on Twitter at Ramon and Will. 615-737-1045 is our number. Calvin Ridley is staying with the Titans on a restructured deal. A source confirmed to ESPN. Teron Davenport writing this at ESPN.com over the weekend that he will remain with the team for the 2026 season. And the move was prompted by a $2 million roster bonus that was due Saturday. So Ridley signed a 4-year, $92 million contract initially. And the restructuring addresses what would have been a $26.5 million salary cap hit, keeping Calvin Ridley in Tennessee. Hamstring injury, the second quarter of the Week 6 loss to the Raiders. He missed the next 3 games after that. He returned in Week 11 against the Texans and is coming off of a broken fibula that he suffered in that game. He had 17 catches for 303 yards in 7 games last season. Ramon, did the Titans make the right call on Calvin?
Yeah, and I think this conversation sparked from a topic that you had brought up about 2.5, maybe even 3 weeks ago. You can't be eager, and I'm paraphrasing or adding to what you said, but you said you can't be eager to hit free agency to find the next thing if you don't have the replacement for in-house as well.
Well,
Meaning,
right.
Yeah,
right.
You can't get rid of Calvin and then try to find his replacement on the market if Calvin makes sense for the right prices, where I ended up coming into the conversations like, well, hey, if the price is right, I don't think we should be throwing him out with the bathwater, throwing baby out with the bathwater. And that's kind of what the Titans did. There was nobody on this market that I think fit what Calvin could do at that price point still, at that level, or in the expectations too. So that's where, to me, I think they did the right thing. We spoke about it, I feel like Friday, Will, you and I. He wasn't a bad teammate.
No.
It's been injuries. Got to clean up the drops. But as far as having something, and again, to give credit to you, you said Cam's got to have something steady somewhere. And that's where Calvin comes into play. That's where it kind of made sense. I know this conversation was probably loud, hitting the y'all and Calvin hadn't done anything. And to be quite honest with you, that's how I viewed it as well. But then the other part is, it's just like hitting free agency. Like, certain guys get paid bigger than you expect them to. Well, the market sets you up. I feel like this free agency market, which the premier player was George Pickens. Dallas didn't let him go. You had Michael Pittman Jr. get traded away. You also had, I was about to call him Adam Thielen.
Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce. That's bad. Alec Pierce as well. And the Colts kept him. The market dictates a lot of stuff, the same way the draft does at times. You got to move with what's presented with you. And I think this is a smart move by the Titans to allow themselves to have a guy and not just pay him and watch him go away. Calvin has a big opportunity coming back from this broken fibula and with a new offense. And I wonder as well how much Brian Dable played a part in this conversation. Did he have to walk in and stand up for Calvin a little bit? I know they have some familiarity from college.
It's a good question, considering how much they have worked together and how much say Dable has appeared to have on the offensive free agents.
It's his offense, right? Yeah. I mean, we looked at this signing of this new regime as 3 head coaches managing their side of the ball individually. The same way I look at Saleh getting all his defensive pieces, it's the same way I'm viewing Brian Dable on the offense. He has to have the guys that he want to work in this offense. And looking at Wan'Dale Robinson signing as well, I think this matchup could work.
Year 1 in Tennessee, Calvin had 64 catches for 1,017. Like we mentioned, 17 catches for 303 yards last year. He had 3 drops in 7 games, according to Pro Football Focus. There were a lot more footballs, though, that you probably wouldn't say were dropped, that you would say should have been caught.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. There are stone cold drops. There are, shots you take a basketball that are just misses when you're wide open. And there's
just
some
bad timing,
and then there are some plays that you just say, you got to make that play.
Mm-hmm.
Tough plays that, we talk about it with Nate Ament and Tyler Tanner, both of them in the games that their teams lost over the weekend. You say, that's not really like a big miss, but like he should make that. There were a lot of plays left on the field by Calvin Ridley in 2025. That being said, to your point, my point the entire offseason has been don't create more of a need where you already have a need, if you can help it. And they can help it with Calvin Ridley. And I think they made the right call. I think this was the best move for all parties. Mm-hmm. I think it was the best for Calvin to have a quarterback that he worked with last season and tried to build off of what that chemistry and rapport was like. And I think for the Titans, it makes sense to cast Calvin Ridley differently. And depending on the kind of attention Wan'Dale Robinson attracts, is there more for Calvin Ridley now going up against less of the Pat Surtains of the world and more of the, respectfully, Riley Mosses? Mm-hmm. Going up against more second and third corners based off of the threat that he now provides. Could you have a bump up in production again because all of a sudden you're not going up against somebody's best cornerback week in and week out?
Right. And the other part, so somebody brought that up, it's like we, and I'll include myself in that too, I ain't going to say overhype the Calvin Ridley signing. It's just that when you go out and get a premier guy that had the year that he did in Jacksonville, you somewhat look at him and say he's going to take that next step, especially on a team that needed a take the top off of the defense type of game. He had that. He can get down the field. He had 1,000 yards. He's had production. He had a year off. So you say to yourself as well, this makes sense because that potential is still yet to be tapped from where you thought he was going to ascend up to in the Atlanta years. And then a suspension happens. Then he went and got himself back right. The issue that I feel like you had here with Calvin Ridley was also, I think what we're learning in this signing, the lack of talent. And the expectations, to your point, of what his role should be in the offense. I think I personally viewed him, and most of us did, viewed Calvin as a bona fide one. And I think moving forward, there are just different levels to the wide receiver one role. And the way they built up this offseason as far as getting help at the tight end position, we expect, and we thought this last year, that this offensive line will be better. Cam going into his second year, a better play caller in Brian Dable. And again, reiterating that part of weapons. Wan'Dale Robinson plays a huge part in, I think, Calvin's role. You look at what he was able to do in Jacksonville. You had guys that could play underneath, and then Calvin just catches transcontinental passes down the field. Or you can scheme him up in ways, to your point, looking at the volume in which Wan'Dale Robinson gets the ball. You can lull him to sleep, and the next thing you know, hit a shot with Calvin. Or at this point, you got to pick and choose. Like we speak about this often. Who are your threats going into stadiums? And I think if you look at what Calvin can be, should be, and what Wan'Dale Robinson seems to be ascending up to, those are the threats that you're looking for.
Yeah, Cam's just got to throw accurate deep balls when you do have those opportunities.
That's also true.
And he still may line up against number one corners. I think that's something that remains to be seen in terms of who the rest of the weapons and threats, to your point, are for the team. But that's, I think, going to be interesting to watch how defenses plan to stop the Titans.
This restructure is just reshifting of the signing bonus, or did they? We
actually don't really have a lot of details. Okay. I've given you everything that we know. Spot Track does not have an updated contract for him. It essentially, what Tehran wrote at ESPN.com was the move was prompted by a $2 million roster bonus, and it addresses the salary cap hit. So the restructuring addresses what would have been a $26.5 million salary cap hit to keep him in Tennessee.
Good move. Either way, I thought it was solid. And this game is full of second opportunities. I think everybody and I think it's got to be, we got to point blame the, I guess, lack of experience that Brian Callahan had offensively, some of his coaching staff as well. You're looking at what was supposed to be one of the best offensive line coaches in the game and just didn't get the most out of this group here. Like, you can't call last year a wash, not even by a little bit, because jobs are on the line. People got fired, and expectation of fans and the dollars that they spend needs to be shown on the field, and it just wasn't. But again, you got to kind of point the finger at the lack of planning and scheming up that Brian Callahan wasn't capable of. And I'm okay with that. Like, legitimately viewing this situation, I think you look at Brian Dable at least and say, this guy's done it. And I think that's the differences between this last staff and this one. This staff has been in these type of situations before, and game management is not a deal. We spoke about this often when looking at Dable in general. His ability to communicate with Cam, or just have Cam in a student role more, I don't think we got that last year from Callahan and Cam as far as him teaching him and telling Cam, like, hey, be cool. We got this. Because OTA Cam was way different, in my personal opinion, from in-season Cam. I thought we were going to see a lot of control, get the ball out of his hand, move down the field methodically. And it turned into a, hey, Cam, go create game plan. I felt like more times than not, either that's on Cam panicking or Callahan's inability to kind of lock him into growth mode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he was taught things. Like, Brian Callahan was still teaching. The student did not apply what he was taught enough to the field, whatever he was taught.
Right.
Because it didn't work.
It didn't work.
And he couldn't get 60% completion percentage for the entire season. Things got better as the season went, but ultimately, yeah, you're right. I mean, Brian's responsible for what we saw on the practice field making it to the football field. And it felt like in both seasons, with Will Levis and with Cam Ward, problems popped up that weren't happening as much over at the facility.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's probably an oversimplification of it, but we did not see the dinking and dunking and smart get the ball out timing. I remember Calvin Ridley saying in training camp that Cam has uncommon timing for such a young quarterback.
Yeah, man.
And then we got on the field, and he's holding the ball too long and waiting and making bad decisions at the ends of plays. So, look, it's part of learning. It's part of being a rookie. It's part of being able to master something at 75 to 80% speed when you can't get hit that you are unable to master at full speed when you can get hit. And we'll see how much progress he makes this upcoming season with new coaching.
For sure.
Let's go to Tim in Mount Juliet, 615-737-1045. Good morning, Tim.
Hey, morning, guys.
Morning.
So, yeah, I think bringing Calvin back on a restructured deal is probably a good idea. I'd rather do that than overpay another wide receiver like a Jawan Jennings or something. I think we're setting ourselves up to have even more cap space than people probably realize. You know, we still have a lot of money. And one of the things I was trying to figure out, I don't know if you guys can expand on this, how much money we're going to be able to bring over into next year also. I think the Titans probably look at this as a multi-year rebuild, right? And if we can get some good players to get some more wins this year and then really start to load up to be a contender next offseason when we're going into our new stadium, I think that's probably a good plan that the Titans front office is trying to put into place. So I don't know if you guys can. I've seen a lot of numbers out there. I don't know exactly what it looks like because I know we got some kind of like extra bonus money from injuries and stuff. I don't really get how it works, but if you guys could kind of expand on that a little bit, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you, Tim. So at the moment, Spot Track does have them with $126 million cap space going into 27. That's a really early estimate. That's with Dan Moore on the books. That's without a contract extension for Peter Skoronski or Jeffrey Simmons on the books, which would probably give you even more. I mean, I think the headline is they're still going to have a lot of money in 2027 as well. They have not overcommitted to guys in the present that are going to cost them really a ton of money in 2027 either. And you are right on the insurance part of it. That was released actually before the Titans made the moves for Calvin Ridley and L'Jarius Sneed. There's an ESPN.com article by Kalen Kaler back in 2024 about how a rabbit hole most people don't know about, how insurance became a source of NFL tension. And it is believed from a couple of people that have reported it, the Titans gained an additional $20 million in cap space to go from about $50 million left to $70 million left in insurance. I don't know the details of who that insurance is on. It is believed to be at least on L'Jarius Sneed, but that's about all we know because Sneed got released over the weekend. Zach Lyons is the one that put that out there, said it is believed to be insurance that was bought on the contracts of L'Jarius Sneed and Calvin Ridley. So again, we don't know anything definitively there, but that is kind of the understanding that's out there.
That's slick. Oh, that's slick. we've heard of players doing this going into the draft. It's the Lloyds of London. I think in insurance policy you can take out for players coming out in the draft. Players take this as well. If I'm not mistaken, one of my good teammates taken. I'm not going to disclose his name because I'm not sure if it's true or not. But I know a player that had a career-ending injury, and he had an insurance like this as well, and actually got an opportunity to cash it in because he had a career-ending injury. Those policies are out there. I didn't know teams had access to it. I wonder if they have to clear that through the players as well as say, hey, we'll sign you, but we're also going to take an insurance policy on you.
So the CBA labels insurance proceeds as a, quote, refund from the player, which qualifies the amount as a cap credit for the club for the following season. So in the simplest terms, if a player who eats up a significant portion of a club's salary cap misses significant time with injury or illness, a club doesn't have to take it as a total loss, but can recover space for the following year, and insurance premium payments don't count against the salary cap.
Smart.
It's a really smart way to still have to pay a premium, and you are still exchanging money, but it's not NFL money, essentially.
And I'm sure the policies are expensive, to just throw that out there as well.
100%.
You might not get your money back from that. That's just that's a loophole right there if you are going into the business of signing a oft-injured player, a guy that's had some issues before. So that's one method. And I know another way for teams to get around it as well. I was just talking to a good friend of mine this past weekend. Like, teams ask the players, hey, will you sign a waiver if you got a shoulder injury, if you got historic knee injuries like chronic knees or something like that, so that, hey, you waive that, you can sign with us and still get your signing bonus. And most times that's usually the method. This is my first time publicly hearing of teams taking out a policy, but this smart because L'Jarius came in this situation. L'Jarius Sneed came in this situation with a issue from Kansas City.
This 2024 ESPN.com piece from Kalen Kaler says roughly half of NFL clubs currently have an insurance policy on at least one player contract. And many clubs insure only one player, their most expensive contract. Says one insurance industry source estimated that around 75% of teams have purchased insurance policies in their history. It was Troy_OTC, Troy of Over the Cap on Twitter, who over the weekend said there were 4 teams to get massive annual adjustments for 26. The Titans received $24.3 million, San Francisco $20.6, Cleveland $17.8 million, and Arizona $14 million.
One of the Cleveland ones, Deshaun Watson. Probably. Who knows?
Bucket on Twitter says, imagine getting released and in the meeting you have Jake from State Farm. That's great. Like a good neighbor, you're a free agent.
Here's your payment.
That's right. We'll take your playbook and your service tablet, please. Appreciate that.
That's good right there.
What is he wearing, Jake from State Farm? Khakis.
Yeah. You got to be able to laugh at it, man.
Great.
Man loses his job and you gain the insurance policy.
Nationwide just cut your contract.
America.
Yeah, you got Liberty. Who would you rather see in the meeting, Limu Emu or
I want the progressive guy. I want the deep voice guy, the black guy.
Go ahead, bring in your playbook, L'Jarius.
Bring in your playbook, man. We got you.
This is Limu Emu. He'll walk you through the process.
You know what? With this process, the team can really just cut you with no hard feelings. Like, as a fan base, y'all can't even be mad now. You getting $20 million plus to the good? Man, y'all better bless that, man. That's the way I look at this situation. Give me the progressive guy, though. The black, you too can call Allstate. Like, that guy.
You just said progressive, and then in the as you said Allstate.
It's Allstate. The Allstate guy, the black guy. Yeah. Give me him. It's the voice.
Didn't he pass away a few years ago?
Stop! Don't do that.
He did.
No, Will.
He's the guy that played David Palmer in 24.
Did he have a whole life insurance too?
I don't know. That
too
was
far into the weeds now.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see. I'm going to find this. Dennis Haysbert, I believe is his name. No, he's alive. Very much alive. My bad, Dennis. That's on me.
Better get an insurance
That's
policy
on me,
now.
Dennis. Yeah, you're right. Right. Someone from 24 passed away. 24 is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Bro, you can't just be throwing people on the deathbed out here.
615-737-1045 is
Will
our
the Turk.
number. Nashville SC with a dramatic victory over the weekend. We'll talk about it next.
The uncontested leader when it comes to engagement rings and fine jewelry here is Genesis Diamonds, the leader for over 20 years. Genesis disrupted the old school jewelers by offering a massive selection of hand-picked diamonds at ridiculously low prices. And year after year, they're voted best jeweler in Nashville and best place to buy an engagement ring. Nobody even comes close to them, okay? These days, Genesis owners are as committed as ever to staying ahead with an even larger selection of GI-certified diamonds, a growing collection of exclusive designer rings that you can't find anywhere else, and expanded warranties and guarantees and extreme transparency. And what people love, nobody's on commission at Genesis. They are there to guide you to a smart decision with total confidence. Genesis is the total package. Uncompromising quality, unmatched selection, and unbeatable value. And one more thing, if you're looking for a luxury Rolex watch, Genesis has cornered the market with a massive selection of pristine, just like new, pre-owned Rolex timepieces, all the popular models. They have them. So for that special occasion this year, trust my friends and the real experts at Nashville's own Genesis Diamonds. Genesis Diamonds are located in Green Hills and Cool Springs or online at genesisdiamonds.com. Amazing store, incredible people.
Ramon Will rolls on, wrapping up our number one on this Monday morning. Glad you are with us. Stoney Keeley will stop by in a half hour, previewing wide receivers in the NFL draft. Ryan Shumpert, Rocky Top Insider at 8:20, talking Vols hoops. And Matt Miller of ESPN at 9:20 on the show this morning. Big 1-0 win for Nashville SC on Saturday afternoon in Columbus. And Ramon, the boys in gold are off to their best start in club history in MLS play. 3 wins, 1 draw as Hani Mukhtar scored in the 4th minute of stoppage time to secure a dramatic win at the death. It is very impressive that Nashville can rotate its lineup as much as it did and get a result at Columbus. This is a very good club that has started a little bit slowly this season. Columbus with Hendrik Rudstrom, first-year head coach. But 5 Nashville players made their first MLS starts of the season Saturday night. Josh Bauer, Jack Mayer on the back line, Brian Acosta in midfield, Wubens Passius and Ahmed Kassem, and they didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
They put in the DPs in the second half. Hani came on, Espinoza came on, Surridge came on, and your ability to get a result while you are playing on Wednesdays right now is something that is not normal in this league. That is a major, major result for Nashville. It's the kind of win that championship contenders get, even with some different names and faces in the starting lineup.
I thought I saw this right. Let me know if I'm saying his name. Christian Espinoza.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wrecked his defender on the other side.
Yes, he did.
I saw that come across my algorithm.
Had him in a spin cycle.
Spin, kick back, over. Goal! His assist was phenomenal, by the way, too. To Hani Mukhtar, if I'm not mistaken, as well. You mentioned this group being exciting. You said it wasn't just going to be just kicked. I think the way most Americans who are into football, basketball, and baseball just look at it as like, oh, they're just kicking the ball around the yard. Not with this group. You mentioned it early in the season. They're going to be attacking. They're going to be forward, and they're going to score goals. The way this one went through this past Saturday, I thought was super unique, and it leads to everything that you said they will be as a franchise, as an organization, as a team this year, man. Cool, real cool stuff.
Hani Mukhtar's 150th MLS goal contribution between the regular season and the playoffs. He leads all active players in career MLS goal contributions. Brian Schwacke also, with his 12th start, is now 10 wins, no losses, 2 draws. Still unbeaten in his first 12 starts in goal. Only one other goalkeeper in MLS history, Jorge Campos for LA Galaxy in 1996, has gone unbeaten in their first 12 starts. And Christian Espinoza had his 85th MLS regular season assist and 3rd already this season between MLS play and CONCACAF Champions Cup play. It was a really, really big deal to be able to go up to Columbus and get a win. First time they've done that in 4 years.
That's pretty cool right there, man. Sky's the limit for this group is what I'm hearing. The goalie, by the way, too. How tall is he? I asked the most obscure question.
Let's go find out, shall we?
Because I'm wondering, are most of them like 6'4" and taller, or is it just agility? They are tall as well.
He is 6'2".
6'2", okay, for sure. I just see some of them like, I feel like I saw one was like 6'6". I'm thinking to myself, like, that's normal.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Got to be long-limbed.
Got to be long. Yeah, I mean, the reach most definitely matters. That and quickness and instinct, of course, play a part in it. But I got to get there. I have to. I thought I was going to go last week, but of course, I think the rain hit or we're supposed to.
It was a road game.
It was a road. What? It was a home game last weekend. I think we talked about it.
No, not last weekend.
Was the game Wednesday?
This past weekend was it was Wednesday.
Okay, it was Wednesday. Yeah, and I think the rain was supposed to hit. But either way, I got to make it to a game.
Every seat's undercover at Geodis Park, pretty much.
Is it really?
In the second deck, every seat is. And in the first deck,
oh yeah, you told me.
Maybe most of them. I don't know, but no, it's comfortable.
Haven't you been to a game?
I have been to a game.
Yeah.
We went
it's one of the best atmospheres. Yeah,
another edition of it. It is, and there's no bad seat as well. I'm gonna try to get close to the field as I possibly can. If I run on, you think they'll just tackle me?
Yes.
Ooh, good luck with that.
I would not recommend that.
Not you running on the field, but them tackling.
I think that would be frowned upon.
I need to see how many it'll take to take me down. Like the event staff.
I don't think we need to see that. We don't need to learn that.
It'd be fun. You know, we want to go viral.
I don't know if it would.
You think I get fired
Hope you have
here
a
if
good
I do
insurance
that?
policy.
Listen,
The goal should not be to go viral. Goal should not be to go viral.
Hey, here's a cool stat on Hani Mukhtar's goal. It was the 25,000th goal in MLS history.
in MLS history.
Yeah, 25,000th. That's a weird number to say.
Imagine like making history by luck as well. You know what I'm saying? Like he made history for the 25,000th goal, but it could have been anybody in any other city. Do you own that just as much?
Sure. Why not?
I feel you.
And no one else can.
Hawk, didn't you play soccer?
I sure did.
Were you good?
I would look in high school.
Can I give you just a little bit of advice? Anytime anybody asks you something that they've never seen in their life and nobody's going to call in and refute it, say heck yes.
I like to be humble.
Screw being humble.
Look, all I'm saying is, look, in college, there's a whole lot of different things that happened. Did not like my college coach. He was a guy that played favorites, and if you're not one of the favorites, then you don't get the same playing time.
Let's call him up and ask him what the heck, man.
No, God, I don't want to hear his voice.
I want to investigate, Will.
But like in high school, like I was a center mid, whether it was attacking or defensive mid. So I was all over the field. I could run all over the place. But in college, I just didn't get utilized like that, and I just didn't enjoy it. You kind of lose that passion when you have a coach that doesn't respect you like that.
Sure. Wednesday night, Nashville SC back at it, taking on Inter Miami, the second leg of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Scoreless going into leg number 2. Should be fun. Coming up, Vanderbilt and Tennessee learned their fates in the NCAA tournament. We'll tell you why one of them is not the right seed after this.
7:01, good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Mid-Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Justin Hawkins. Arkansas beat Vanderbilt in the men's SEC basketball tournament final yesterday, 86-75, behind a 30-point, 11-assist outing by Darius Acuff Jr., the Razorbacks' first SEC tournament title since 2000. NCAA tournament. The brackets are set. 10 SEC teams made the tournament. 1 seeds are Arizona in the West, Michigan in the Midwest, Florida in the South, and Duke in the East. Locally, Tennessee gets the 6th seed in the Midwest region, and they'll play Friday versus the winner of Miami, Ohio, and SMU. Vanderbilt, they're the 5 seed in the South region, and they'll play McNeese on Thursday. In Titans news over the weekend, Tennessee released cornerback LeJarris Sneed on Friday, which saves the Titans $11.4 million against the salary cap. Sneed becomes a free agent. Also, the Titans and wide receiver Calvin Ridley on Saturday agreed to a restructured contract that'll keep him in Tennessee for the 2026 season. And Nashville Soccer Club, they remain unbeaten after a 1-0 win at Columbus Crew Saturday night, improves to 3-0-1 on the year. Hani Mukhtar scored his 150th career MLS goal 4 minutes into stoppage time, and goalkeeper Brian Schwacke recorded his 5th shutout in 7 matches this season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Break it easy once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go into hour number 2 on this Monday morning. 615-737-1045. The number with the crew all here. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins, streaming live on 1045 The Zone TV. Come join us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. As you heard Justin tell you just a moment ago, Tennessee gets the winner of SMU or Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio, the final team in the field at 31-1 after a loss to Frank Martin's UMass Minutemen. First time ever that the MAC has been a 2-bid league. Tennessee opposite of Virginia and old friend Wright State, who just always seems to pop up against teams in this area. In the 68-team bracket. So, Ramon, we get to watch Wednesday as in Dayton. Miami of Ohio and SMU will battle it out for the chance to take on the Vols.
No doubt. I was told by a resident basketball expert, Ron Slay, Miami, Ohio. I remember it was brought up. Somebody was like, I don't want to see Miami, Ohio. I was like, yeah, you do. So I look at this situation and say, I don't want to see SMU more than anything. I know just that's a talented team, and they're fast up and down the court as well. So it's going to be fascinating to see what the Vols do if they do get SMU. I'm personally expecting SMU to win this one. The way, the high that Miami of Ohio was on, and for them to lose the way they did in that conference tournament, it might just be the snowball effect of how their season might end up going. I personally don't see them coming out of this one with such better competition and what SMU provides to them as well.
Yeah, it depends on the health of former Tennessee point guard and SMU point guard B.J. Edwards.
Yeah.
Who has been hurt down the stretch for SMU, and they have really suffered as a part of that. SMU lost 5 of its last 6 games entering tournament play.
Tough.
Miami of Ohio went 31-0 before losing in the opening round of the MAC tournament to UMass. Ken Pom would tell you, if you value the analytics and the number side of all of this, that they are by far the worst 11 seed, Miami of Ohio. Ken Pom ranks them 93rd. Within all of this. And it's just one metric, but that is their opinion. They've got NC State 34th as an 11 seed, SMU 42nd, VCU is 45th, South Florida and former Alabama assistant Brian Hodgson 47th. There are multiple teams that are seeded better than Miami of Ohio who are seeded at the 12 and 13 line. Like Hofstra is a 13 seed that is ranked higher on Ken Pom than Miami of Ohio is.
You know what's crazy, where I learned that from? From Bruce Pearl and the Crying Eagles is where I learned that from, okay?
The Crying Eagles.
All the begging that happened on that CBS network because of Bruce and mad that Auburn didn't get in. I get it. He's standing on the table for him. I think some people alluded to the fact that he's still on payroll, which is irrelevant in a sense.
Just like Nick Saban on game day.
Well, yeah.
At Alabama.
At Alabama.
Yeah.
So I know that type of stuff happens, but that team wasn't that good. I think it's cool with what Miami, Ohio has done. Their blemish is the one loss they had in the conference championship, and I think there's a reward to be had
in the first round.
Yeah, in the first round.
Yeah,
and they knew they couldn't lose as well. But with that being said, they're in. They get the opportunity to play in, is what it is. And again, if you're in Auburn situation, yeah, you got all the stats that kind of line this up. But of course, as many losses that they have and what their record was in the SEC, as I attempt to pull this up right now as well, you just kind of sit where you are. Do better in the regular season is what you kind of got to tell yourself if you're a team that's mad that you're not in the tournament at this point. Heck of a season for Stephen Pearl and Auburn his first year, but it just wasn't good enough. And just kind of roll what the field allows you to at this point.
17-16 for Auburn. One game over 500.
Yeah. There's no way to play ball right there, man. But again, this is the ultimate test. They accepted the NIT bid, though, which is kind of cool for them.
As they should.
Yeah, they absolutely should. But kudos to what Miami, Ohio does. I just don't count on them going into the actual field of 64 on this one. Maybe I'm wrong on it, but we'll see.
I thought Vanderbilt got a rough draw after beating Tennessee and Florida in the SEC tournament. I thought it's absolutely ridiculous what the committee did to Vandy and making them a 5 seed who's going to take on McNeese State. They're an 11.5-point favorite in that game coming up on Thursday at 2:15. They get the winner of Nebraska and Troy, and then they would have to face Florida again. In the South region, a team they beat over the weekend, and a Florida team that just could not take care of the ball and had a lot more shots, just weren't able to take care of it once they had it. So even after losing to Arkansas, the metrics would tell you Vandy's actually closer to a 3 seed than they are a 5 seed. I have no clue why they're a 5, and I've got the fix for you. Swap them and Gonzaga. Gonzaga, who finishes with a loss to Portland at the end of their season, in the regular season. I think you got to flip these two teams and you solve 2 problems. Gonzaga was seated way too high, and Vanderbilt was seated far too low. So you look at a lot of the metrics. Number 9 in the final wins above bubble ranking, which became a bigger deal this season. David Cobb wrote about this at CBSSports.com and laid it out really well. Number 12 in KenPom. Number 12 overall team. That would have you, again, on the 3 line. Number 10 at Bart Torvik.
Wow.
Which says the absolute worst case scenario actually tells you, according to the metrics, that Vandy shouldn't even have been a 4 seed. Instead, they were made a 5 seed. David goes on to write at CBSSports.com saying the committee looks even wilder for its decision because on February 21st, when the committee did their March Madness bracket preview, they believed Vandy was a 4 seed. Since then, Vandy has 4 more wins over NCAA tournament teams, including 2 over Tennessee, one of those being on the road, and a win over the hottest team in the SEC, one of the hottest teams in the country in Florida. Never mind the fact also that they bumped up Purdue to a 2 seed for beating Michigan, who was a 1 in the Big Ten tournament, yet acted like the SEC tournament just never even happened for Vanderbilt with what it did. 91-74. They didn't just beat Florida. They beat down Florida. They beat them up. So Kansas was a 3 seed February 21st. Went 3-4 from there. And they're a 4 seed ahead of Vandy. Michigan State was a 4 seed on February 21st. They went 4-2 from there with only 1 additional quad 1 win. Yet they rose up to the 3 line. And then Vandy, who added 3 quad 1A victories and also beat one of the best teams in college basketball, was moved down from where they were on February the 21st. That makes no sense whatsoever. No sense whatsoever.
Only I guess sense I can make of it is it because
it's the name of their jersey. Yeah, 100%.
They're not blue.
100%.
They're not blue.
Blue meaning blue blood.
Blue blood.
And you're exactly right.
Just looking at the teams that you said they moved up, Gonzaga, they're a blue blood. You look at Michigan State, blue blood. You look at Purdue. As of late, they've been a hot team when it comes down to the tournament. It's simply that. And do you also count the fact that without Duke Miles, which they're with them right now, Vandy did kind of skid a little bit down the stretch, but he was out of those games as well. Like, they've been consistent.
Right.
They were consistent for the most part all of this year. And the other part I was going to ask you until you answered it, is the committee saying that tournaments don't matter? But clearly they do if Purdue moves up.
They've been saying that for years.
Clearly
but
it matters.
They apply that with such inconsistency.
Yeah.
I mean, even Nebraska. Nebraska's not a blue blood.
No, they're not.
February 21st, for the bracket preview, Nebraska was a 3 seed. Then they lost to UCLA and Purdue by a combined 36 points. And their best win since then was a win at home in overtime against 9 seed Iowa. And they're a 4. Now, the beauty of it is that the difference between a 5 and 4 seed is minimal.
Yeah.
The only difference between being a 5 and a 4 is who you were playing in the first round. That being said, Vandy should have been a 3 seed.
You feel a threat of what McNeese State can provide to
Absolutely.
them? Oh, you do?
Absolutely,
I've seen a lot of McNeese get really
I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on them, but that's a team that has NCAA tournament experience, a program that has NCAA tournament experience. And I mean, just the fact that they are a 12 seed tells me that, that they can certainly provide a threat, no question.
You think they should be a 3 seed over Arkansas?
What I said earlier is that switch them with Gonzaga. Gonzaga should be a 5, Vandy should be a 3. That's how I'd fix it.
Yeah, no doubt. Tough cookie for Vandy, but I mean, as you said, the biggest hiccup that they can end up having is, what is Nebraska? I guess going into the round of 32.
A team that started, I believe, 20-0 that finished 6-6 in its last 12 games.
First timers as well.
They've never won an NCAA tournament game, Nebraska.
Learn Troy basketball soon, and I guess as well. Look at that one. The draw that they had, of course, against Florida, if they do make it to the Sweet 16, is going to be fascinating because what was Florida in the tournament? As you said, that wasn't a team that we knew that was getting hot. I hate to say that Florida is a lose at the right time type of team, but everybody in America views Florida as a hot team. I think there was the last number 1 seed team in as well, too, or selection.
Potentially.
Yeah,
but they ended up being right there.
It will.
Right at the edge of the 1 line. So still one of the hottest teams in the sport, and still I think one of the most dangerous teams. They're the one in the South, and Vandy may have to see them again. I think you're certainly happy about that if you're Vanderbilt because you played them really close in a home loss the first time around in a game you had a chance to win. And the second time around, you obviously did win it. So big opportunity there.
It's fascinating. The bluest division out of all of it is the East. The amount of teams that got either coaches or names got to be the biggest name brand side of the bracket I feel like we've seen in a while.
Congrats to Tennessee State as well. Of course, TSU getting into the dance to take on Iowa State. That one Friday at 1:50 on CBS in the 2:15 round and a potential matchup with the Kentucky Santa Clara winner. If you're able to pull off a shocking upset. Love it. Congrats to the Tigers.
Absolutely.
Coming up, Stoney Keeley joins us. We're scouting draftable wide receivers after this.
Synergex and Low Center have been highlighted for having the highest quality testosterone on the market, y'all. They only use pharmaceutical grade testosterone, never compounded testosterone. So you know what's going on in your body. Don't settle for compounded mystery testosterone. I'm telling you, safer. Go with the safer, smoother TRT with real human providers. And I mean that. You go into a Synergex or Low T Center, you will see real humans at the front desk, in the back offices, to where you can talk to them and describe how you're feeling, what you got going on, and what adjustments you might need to make. At their centers, they dose their TRT more frequently than other clinics as well to make sure your testosterone levels are always optimal and don't dip below the baseline that they set for you or that you want to set for yourself. They keep TRT smoothing and they keep side effects in check as well. They also stay on top of your health with regular medical testing so you can make sure your TOT is always safe. I enjoy what the medical testing is for. You get your levels on everything, figure out what's going on inside of your body. And I'm always huge on that. We always worry about the exterior, but I'm telling you, the interior body needs maintenance and attention as well. For a company that you can trust, if you have low T or other issues going on, you can simply go to getmyhealthfix.com. That's getmyhealthfix.com.
Hagesville Bowling, is your home's air conditioning ready to keep up with the warmer months ahead? Lee Company has you covered. Lee Company's team of professional technicians will give your home's AC a tune-up as well as seasonal cleaning and maintenance to help you stay ahead of the heat and humidity. Don't let your AC fail this spring and summer. Head over to leecompany.com to schedule your appointment today. Over the past few weeks, we have gotten another example of why the weather in Middle Tennessee is so unpredictable, and how in one given week we will get winter weather and then the next we'll get spring and summer air. Make sure that your AC unit is ready before that big heat wave that is about to come here to Middle Tennessee. Check them out online, leecompany.com. Schedule your appointment there with the business with over 80 years of experience serving Middle Tennessee. That's leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Ramon Will rolls on here in hour number 2 on your Monday morning with the NFL vet, Ramon Foster. I am Will Bowling, joined by our Ramon and Will draft expert. Football and other F words. Back in the inbox, of course, we're talking about our good friend Stoney Keeley, scouting wide receivers this morning. Good morning, Stoney. How are you?
Morning, Will. Doing as well as I can be. Might have gone a little too hard at the Oscars party last night, but you live and you learn. I'm figuring I'm approaching 40, and I guess that's apparently too old for 4 glasses of wine. I gotta stop at 2, but take notes and get better.
That's all right. Was anyone slapped? Anything of particular surprise at said either the watch party or just the Oscars overall, Stoney? I know you are a big movie guy.
Oh, we were live streaming live reaction last night, and the biggest surprise is that the cat did not knock over the camera at any point in the middle of the night.
Good.
That's beautiful.
It's fantastic.
Best supporting actor or actress for the cat is what you're telling me?
Yeah. We'll I can ride with that.
You're saying I would call that the best supporting cactor. Cactor.
Oh.
No.
Got jokes this morning.
Don't let that fly, Stoney.
Anyway, let's talk wide receivers. All right, let's talk about wide receivers with cat-like reflexes here as we take a look at the NFL draft with our friend Stoney Keeley.
It was good. I just couldn't allow it.
Yeah, I've had worse, but I promise you I'll also have better. Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, the names at the top of this board, Stoney. Who is the number 1 wide receiver for you in this NFL draft class?
I still have Jordan Tyson at wide receiver 1, but I don't feel that great about it, which is also kind of why I'm leaning towards 35 being that sweet spot for wide receiver for the Titans. Tyson, listen, we tend to kind of gloss over, he's got the injury history. I don't think we really dig into that a little too much. This is a guy that didn't just have, he broke his foot, he's out for the year, something like that. This is a guy that has missed significant action in every year that he's played college football. The collarbone injury, I'm not so worried about, but you're talking about a couple of ACL injuries. You're talking about hamstring injuries. You're talking about things that have limited his game to the point where he's missed 35% of the games he could have played in. He could have played in 51 games during his college tenure. He only played in 33 because of various injuries. So I do think that matters. That matters when you're talking about the durability. That's really the only thing that I have reservation about with Tyson. There's some nitpicks, physicality, contested catch situations. That's not really his bag. But, man, when you watch this guy move, He is so fluid and crisp and clean. The feet never really get tangled up. The body is in sync. I mean, you can move him around the formation, and he can run about any route that you need him to. The way he sets up his routes, the way he works against defensive backs to kind of jar them open, it's advanced level stuff. The speed it looks okay on tape. It's not like he's a burner, but he's a really polished route runner. Really clean prospect. To me, he's the only one of these 3 that has real wide receiver 1 upside.
When you look at Carnell Tate, Stoney, and 6 touchdowns on throws of 30-plus air yards last season, career highs in receiving yards at 838 in receiving touchdowns, how do you view his ceiling as a prospect, and what stands out about the film with him?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm in a minority on Carnell Tate. I'm out here on an island by myself on him. I see him as a really, really good high-end wide receiver, too. And I know people are going to throw their tomatoes at me, but I just don't see the speed and the ability to separate that you would like out of your alpha wide receiver 1. I just wrapped up Carnell Tate on Friday because I kept coming back to this idea, Zach, my co-host on Football and Other F Words, put in my head, well, maybe some of the not separating thing is him having to slow down and come back to catch underthrown balls. Okay, that's fine. I'll fire up the Miami tape. That's the They go to the national championships. Good football team. They got some good defensive players that are going to be in this draft. It's a good matchup. And to watch them just not be afraid of Carnell Tate. They had guys that could run with him, that could take him away. They didn't really seem to fear him all that much. It was kind of eye-opening to watch. Like, this is not a guy that can just go out there and outrun everybody. And if he can't do his thing, which he's got a really nice stutter step, he can fake a guy to freeze him, and then that's how he kind of gets behind him. The ball tracking stuff, the catch radius stuff, the movement stuff is all very good, but I don't know that he has the real juice to be that top guy. I don't think he's going to be the guy that like just runs right by, gets behind everybody, and accelerates. So I do think that limits his ceiling a little bit. I think it's kind of unfair to just cast him as the automatic wide receiver one in this class, because I do think it's kind of capitalizing on the fact that it's a little weak at the top and there's not a real top dog. So maybe it's just Carnell Tate by default, but I don't think he would be a good value at the 4th overall pick. But like I said, I feel like I'm on an island with that one.
I don't think so, because Sonny Styles will be picked at 4 anyway, so it don't matter, okay?
There we go.
We're joined by Stoney Keeler this morning, football and other F words, man, discussing pre-draft positions. This morning is wide receiver. Stoney, with the moves that was made this weekend, what is the state? I'll just go professionally real quick. What's the state of the Titans wide receiver room the way you kind of see it? The big four is Calvin, Wandale, Chim, and probably Ellick. How do you view this group now as it's set so far?
Yeah, so I'm happy with the decision to bring Calvin Ridley back. I don't think the Titans are in a position right now to be pushing away guys that make plays. And I know Calvin Ridley hasn't necessarily been what we thought he was going to be with the contract that he got, but this is still a dude that can rack up 1,000 yards in a season. And I'm kind of intrigued to see him get a fresh start in a new offense. He's still a guy that can make plays. So I think it raises the floor of this group. I love the addition of Wandale Robinson. I think he's a guy that can move around the formation and do several different things. And then you still have the development of the young guys in DK, who I won't be surprised if the way this room is made up, they have DK playing outside a little bit more this year. And then, of course, Alec Ayumanner. What I think it does is it kind of alleviates the sense of urgency to address wide receiver early, because when you go into the draft, I don't think you ever want to be in a position where you have to draft something, because that's how you end up reaching, because you have a need. So I feel pretty good about this collection of guys. I think it's, it's not like the problem at wide receiver is solved, but I do think they have a pretty stable floor, and now they can focus on finding the best value and adding talent to that room as well.
And that's kind of where I wanted to go after that statement is, well, what fits into this room, Stoney? Because, again, you're probably picking wide receiver 2nd, maybe 3rd round at this point, unless there's trades and stuff that happen. Are you afforded to go after Chris Bell, who's coming off an injury? Do you go after Chris Brazel? Who fits what this room need if you're projecting, to your point, not a need, but just like, oh, yeah, we could use one of those for future purposes? Where are you taking them, and who comes to mind?
Yeah, so you think about what's missing at this point, and I don't know, there's an entire philosophical discussion to be had about, do you need every archetype of wide receiver, or do you just get 5 guys that can play and sort it out? But I think in terms of what they're missing right now, it is kind of the big-bodied ball winner guy. And if you're sitting there at 35 and Denzel Boston out of Washington has fallen to you, that's a guy that deceptive speed, deceptive movability. It does kind of feel like he was hampered by his surroundings on offense a little bit. Maybe not the most anticipatory quarterback play, maybe not the best offensive line holding up and allowing the play to develop. But you see moments where he can really do it all, and he's got that big frame, can pluck the ball out of the sky. A lot of people seem to think he's going to go in the early 20s somewhere, but that's a guy I really like, that if you're sitting there at 35, I think you run that card to the podium if he's there. I also think Brazel is really underrated in the sense that I feel like there are a lot of people that are still helmet scouting Tennessee and not really paying attention to how that offense evolved in 2025 with Joey Aguilar. Like, Chris Brazzell can run some pro routes, and they had him doing it, running all kinds of stuff, whip routes down on the goal line, crossing routes. I think they were like running a little bit of mesh at Tennessee this year, which, I tried to keep my head from exploding when I was watching that tape. But length, athleticism, speed, I'm not going to complain if Brazzell's the pick at 35 either. You mentioned Chris Bell, Ramon, and I think he's a really interesting case study because this is a really crowded wide receiver class. So our team's going to pass on the talent because he tears his ACL late in this season. So you figure he's gonna kind of slide down boards a little bit. Our team's going to be willing to take maybe a less upside prospect because it's a safe injury question. Are they going to take that guy, and is Chris Bell going to slide because of that? Because let me tell you, Chris Bell, if he comes back healthy, that frame, his juice, his ability to accelerate, it's pretty special. And I'm curious to see if he slides, does he go all the way to 66? And if he goes to 66, does he then become too good of a value to pass up? That's I think he's one of the interesting dominoes to watch in this draft. And if they wait to 66, man, there's a guy that fits this mold out of Georgia State named Ted Hurst.
Yes,
that has great length. He's a bit of a ball winner, but man, a really fluid mover in and out of his routes. Got some talent there. It feels like we could go round by round in this draft, and this is a testament to the depth of this receiver class. And there's going to be a guy at that spot that kind of fits whatever role you need in your receiving room.
Stoney, there are probably a lot of Vanderbilt fans around, too, that just heard the name Ted Hurst again and thought, oh, not that guy. Because that's the guy that had 7 catches for 128 and 2 touchdowns for Georgia State in their 2024 win over Vanderbilt. I had him on my list to ask you about. I also had a couple of guys, and one of them I was reading at CBSSports.com, Stoney, was compared to Jawan Jennings. Eric McAllister from TCU, who was among the best of the class last year, 2.86 yards per route run, 6 100-yard receiving games, led FBS in first down reception rate in 2024 at 89.7%. Bryce Lance, another guy, big physical receivers. Stoney, is this, would you say, a good class to need a big physical outside power forward type receiver? And do any of those guys stand out to you as maybe a day 3 option for the Titans?
Yeah, absolutely. I think both of those guys that you mentioned would be good options, and both of them, I mean, to boot from having the frame and everything, like they're just like they've got a little bit of speed to them as well. So I'm a big fan of Bryce Lance, and I think he absolutely fits with what the Titans presumably we think they're trying to build from an archetype standpoint. He's big-bodied, good frame. He's got a little bit of speed. I mean, this guy separates on a play-to-play basis. But you obviously have the level of competition concerns because it is North Dakota State, and I've been a long proponent of, hey, the gap is narrowing between the FCS talent and the FBS talent. But you still, there's a difference between running by LSU defensive backs and Youngstown State defensive backs. It's not a shot. I'm just saying the reality is you got to get him out there and see him run, see what the numbers actually are, so that you have something to compare it to. Because on tape it looks dominant. But that's really the only question I have with a guy like Lance. I think there are guys even later, and you might even get into like undrafted territory where you're still finding guys like Caleb Douglas out of Texas Tech, big-bodied, physical runner, but has some speed, has some athleticism. If I'm not mistaken, he ran like a 4.3 something at the combine. Not really getting a lot of love, and it just, again, speaks to the depth of this receiver class that we're talking about, guys that are fringe draftable because so many receivers before them are pushing them down the list. So Caleb Douglas is another guy that I would add to this conversation late in the draft. Has some, looks kind of raw. Like you might have to teach that guy how to really run routes and play receiver, but physical blocker. He has some really nice speed. He's got the big frame, can win the ball downfield, would be a tremendous value add. And like I said, Will, this feels like a draft where whatever round you're popping up, there's probably a guy that has the skill set you're looking for in this class.
We usually attach ourselves to names, man. There's two guys I want to ask you about. One is almost out of position, but he can be used as a wide receiver as well. One, Eli Stowers and Jeremy Bernard. How do you view those two guys? Because Stowers, I think, is a big wide receiver. I don't know if blocking is going to be a part of his game. And just from a local side of it, we saw him do work. Him and Jeremy Bernard. What's your take on those two dudes at wide receiver?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Stowers, and Ramon, I think you're right. I think the issue is pretty singular with him.
Yeah,
it's the blocking. I mean, he's not gonna line up and mow people down for you, but he does kind of feel like more of a slot receiver type of guy. I think the combine kind of exaggerates his skill set a little bit, and maybe this is just my eyes. It's just one man's opinion. I don't see that caliber of athlete on the tape, but it is, still a really good, quick move guy that can make a play for you. And obviously Diego Pavia made a bunch of plays to him. So I think he's a day two guy, maybe even early on day two. He's going to be a weapon in the passing game, but doesn't really offer the blocking dynamic if you need a true tight end that can get in there and kick out an edge rusher or get to the second level and mow down a linebacker. He's just not that type of tight end. And I think you're onto something. Maybe a position switch could be in his future. As far as Jeremy Bernard goes, man, he's just kind of there. He's had a really quiet, solid career, but he's a guy that's probably going to go on day two. May not be the fastest, may not be the biggest, but man, that dude can be in the right place at the right time. He's a very refined receiver. They run a lot of pro concepts in that Alabama offense, and he has experience running the routes and effective mover. Just a guy that it seems like every play you look up and he's open somewhere. It's just a matter of whether or not the quarterback sees him or the quarterback has time to get the ball out. So he's a really nifty kind of wide receiver that, I don't know that the Titans would hate to have a guy like that in there. I mean, it's a rich class, and anytime you can get a safer prospect like that, I think you take it. But I'm a fan of both of those guys.
He is Tony Keeley joining us in the pre-draft process at 7:20 on Monday mornings. Scouting wide receivers this morning, and make sure you subscribe to Football and Other F Words wherever you download podcasts with him and Zach Lyons on the Zone Podcast Network. Excellent as always, Tony. We'll talk to you next week.
Man.
All right, let's go have us a Monday, boys.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. It's Tony Keeley with us this morning, talking some wide receivers. Any names stick out there to you?
The Mekhi Lemon conversation is super unique. Just his projection and what he is, the injuries, you can't run away from those sometimes. The production when you get to a Ferrari is amazing. It's a matter of keeping the Ferrari on the road is the way I feel like Jordan Tyson's situation is. And I felt that way too about Carnell Tate. A high quality two, and is that worth your one? The same conversation we're having about position flexibility or defined roles at the 4th overall pick. I think it would satisfy people. Personally, it wouldn't do it for me, though, with him at 4.
Not worth the 4th overall pick. I would agree.
Okay.
Coming up, speaking of wide receivers, A.J. Brown, potential trade options. We got an update on that over the weekend. We'll talk about that next. Buying or selling a home is such a stressful process, and buying a home from out of state can certainly feel overwhelming. For Janelle, the experience was anything but stressful because Janelle had the support of Bernie Gallerani Real Estate. Hey, it's Will Bowling. With every step of the process, things were smooth for Janelle, organized and clearly communicated. From the very beginning, Janelle always felt informed, confident, and well represented. And Bernie Gallerani's team worked tirelessly to understand exactly what she was looking for. And in the end, they found a home that checked every box for her wish list. If you're buying from out of state or just want a real estate team that keeps you informed and supported from start to finish, call Bernie Gallerani Real Estate today and experience the difference. And who says there are no guarantees in life or in looking for a new home? Check out Bernie Gallerani's 30-day guaranteed sale program at BernieGallerani.com. He guarantees to sell your home in 30 days or less, or he'll buy it with no risk to you. Call Bernie Gallerani at 615-428-2644 or online at BernieGallerani.com. That's 615-428-2644, online at BernieGallerani.com. Wrapping up hour 2 on this Monday morning edition of Ramon and Will. And wherever you download podcasts, you get every hour of every show. 10 a.m., we post hours 1 through 4, every interview, every conversation, every single one of my bad jokes that you can skip forward through with the 30-second skip button, including our interview with Burke Nihill from Friday, which was certainly making the rounds on social media with the cool story of him buying a fan jersey.
Yeah.
If you missed that on Friday, you can go check it out wherever you download podcasts.
Somebody ran into a guy at church yesterday leaving. He was like, hey, man, listen to you guys. So it was like that segment with Burke Nihill and the jersey. He was just like, this is why I love this franchise. Like every single time they get me back in. And that was a genuine move by Burke as he told the story. If you didn't hear it, as Will said, go back to the podcast and check it out. It's worth listening. I heard there was some dust in the air as well as people were telling, as he was telling that conversation as well too.
Yeah, I think there are onions being cut. A lot of
allergies
places
were brought up.
I think
allergies.
allergies.
Get the tissues out to blow the nose.
That's why we had this cold snap right here to kind of get that out the air is what I heard. It's just what the people are saying. But I had numerous people come up to me, man, and about three folks, which is still a good barometer as to how that situation made people feel.
Some things are
cool.
bigger than sports.
Always is. Sure. Always is, Hawk Dog.
The Philadelphia Eagles held serious conversations with both the Los Angeles Rams and New England Patriots about trading wide receiver A.J. Brown, but according to The Athletic, will not trade him at this time. Dan Rossini had this report over the weekend. Both teams in recent weeks discussed trading for Brown, who, as the story says, frustrations in Philadelphia were a running subplot of the 25 season. While the Rams and Patriots remain interested, no move is imminent. If a trade were to happen, league sources say it would likely heat up closer to June 1st. What would you, if you were the Patriots or the Rams, Ramon, be willing to trade for A.J. Brown? Because this price Howie Roseman still has in this report is steep.
Just the first. If I'm the Patriots, the 31st pick, just that one. I think it's worth it. You taking on a salary, you getting rid of the headache. AJ's in his big diva era right now. Like he's got the ring, he's got the contract, probably wants a new pay increase. Don't blame him. And he's at this point in his career as well where he's numbers chasing. Like the way these guys work, these wide receivers, if they can't get the money to be the number one guy, if they don't get the ring, then they got to get the stats. They got to get justification as to their belonging in the NFL, and that is the gold jacket conversation. AJ, everybody in the world, I think, knows he's very talented, but has AJ made All-Pro yet? I have to look this up. Like, has AJ taken – do you consider AJ Brown the number one wide receiver in the NFL? And the answer is no. And that's the issue is – at a certain point, you get to a point where you say, screw the ring, right? Screw the money. How validated am I? And I feel where he's coming from in that one. And I don't think it's worth the headache with what Philly's been able to do as far as bringing free agents and the way they run that offense as well. It's not the right environment for it to work with them. No, AJ has not made an all-pro the way I see it, right? I think he's all-pro too. Second team all-pro.
Yeah.
But not numero uno.
Yeah, he's not been that yet. He did have, nearly 1,500 yards.
Yeah. His
first season in Philadelphia in 2022. He has had 1,000 yards every season but one in his 7-year NFL career. He is a legit number one receiver. But at 29 years old, which he will be when he begins year 8 this fall, I'm not paying Howie Roseman's price, which is a 1 and a 2. Not in the 2027 draft, which is believed to be loaded with talent.
And especially if you make me wait till June. Howie, I'm sorry. But at that point, Will, we're just trading twos and I'm taking the salary at that point. I just can't. You can't make me wait, Howie Roseman. You hold on to him and he's your headache at this point. And yeah, like the issue is for me is right now it's funny. When he left Tennessee before he got there, and I'm not sure what Philly media is on and how they report on AJ, but it was knee issue, chronic knees issues, can't practice, knee issue. I'll be very fascinated if he does make his way out. Does that conversation come back up? Because it went from a real boiling point here to nothing.
And he's been healthy, right?
And he's been available.
Yeah, he's been pretty healthy. I mean, missed 4 games in 24, but still, I mean, he's been serviceable. More than serviceable. I mean, he's a 1,000-yard receiver every year but one.
And you see him hit the ground from times. Like, I feel like this past year he hit the ground and that knee, I think, hit first, and he came out for a spell. I'll just be interested to see how Philly controls that narrative and leaving if it does come to that point.
Dan writes in and says, can we all acknowledge that Vrabel or someone close to him is Diana Rossini's source, especially with the A.J. Brown scoop? I think it's pretty disrespectful the way people try to frame Diana Rossini as only having Mike Vrabel as a source. Diana's one of the most plugged-in people in the NFL. Clearly, she has a good relationship with Mike Vrabel. She has a good relationship with a lot of coaches.
I would think Halsey.
And with a lot of
Howard,
agents.
too.
Yeah, I think, no, I will not acknowledge that. I mean, maybe he is one of the people she's talking to. That's plausible. But this idea out there on social media that Diana Rossini just talks to Mike Vrabel and that's it, I think it's kind of disrespectful. I think she does a great job.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch on that.
Yeah,
topic.
I wanted the chance to kind of address that.
That's appropriate.
It runs rampant on social media. Like, oh, Diana's best friends with Vrabel. Like, you can have a good relationship with a coach, but I also think that as good a job as she does, and as long as she's been in the industry, she's got a lot of really good relationships.
And these coaches, GMs,
hard.
and scouts, they love to know that their word is out there as well. They are chatty patties, y'all. I just need y'all to know this. They're very chatty.
Coming up, how does the Titans' decision on Calvin Ridley impact the rest of their roster building at receiver and offense moving forward? After this. What's up? It's Will Bowling for my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center, who offers you the ability to get off the sidelines and back in the game. Brentwood Hearing Center's doctors of audiology are always committed to providing patients with the most recent hearing device technology. And some of it even has technology in it that will address speech and noise, helping you when you're out to dinner at a noisy restaurant, you're visiting with friends or clients, you're out at the bar, maybe you've just been at a sporting event. You're hearing the row behind you, maybe not the person next to you. Brentwood Hearing Center has the kind of technology that can help with that. Go by and schedule a demonstration of this industry-changing technology. And you might realize you've been missing sounds that you had no idea you were even missing. Give Brentwood Hearing Center a call at 615-377-0420. Their doctors of audiology won't just get it out of the box and hand it to you. They will have those settings catered to your specific needs. Online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. Call them at 615-377-0420. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life.
8:02. Good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Mid-Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Justin Hawkins. Arkansas beat Vanderbilt in the men's SEC basketball tournament final yesterday, 86-75, behind a 30-point, 11-assist outing by Darius Acuff Jr. It is the Razorbacks' first SEC tournament title since 2000. The NCAA tournament starts this week. Brackets are set, and 10 SEC teams made the tournament. The number one seeds are Arizona in the West, Michigan in the Midwest, Florida in the South, and Duke in the East. Locally, Tennessee gets the 6th seed in the Midwest region, and they'll play on Friday in Philadelphia versus the winner of Miami of Ohio and SMU, which is on Wednesday. Vanderbilt is a 5 seed in the South region. They'll play McNeese State on Thursday in Oklahoma City. In the women's NCAA tournament, Vanderbilt gets the 2 seed, and they'll play High Point coming up on Saturday. In Tennessee, they get the 10 seed. They'll play NC State coming up this Friday. And Nashville Soccer Club remains unbeaten after a 1-0 win at Columbus Crew Saturday night, and they improved to 3-0-1 on the season. Honey Mukhtar scored his 150th career MLS goal 4 minutes into stoppage time, and goalkeeper Brian Schwacke recorded his 5th shutout in 7 matches this season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show getting started on your Monday morning. Welcome in. Glad you're with us as Ramon and Will rolls on. At Ramon and Will on Twitter with the 11-year NFL vet, Ramon Foster, myself, Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins, our producer, Ryan Shumpert of Rocky Top Insider in 15 minutes. He'll talk some hoops with us. And Matt Miller of ESPN joins the program in hour 4 at 9:20. Calvin Ridley is staying put with the Titans on a restructured contract, ensuring that he remains with the team for the 2026 season ahead of a $2 million roster bonus that was due Saturday. Hamstring injury for Ridley in the Week 6 loss to the Raiders. He then missed the next 3 games, returned in Week 11 against the Texans, and suffered a broken fibula, missing the rest of the season. The restructuring addresses what would have been a $26.5 million cap hit, keeping him in Tennessee. Interested to see the details of how the Titans are able to maneuver this and what the restructure specifics look like. But, Ramon, at the end of the day, did they make the right call continuing to rely on Calvin for the 2026 season?
Yes, instantly. Yes, that's my answer to him. We text about it this weekend. It's the proper move to make. I think everybody that had a sharp football mind understood that the market wasn't providing an upgrade. And I don't think this group right now, the way it's assembled, is in the business of overpaying for a similar replacement. Calvin's been a great teammate. Calvin and Cam have a relationship. You look at what Calvin can provide with more weapons, and I think you get a better version of him as well. I personally say about this, and Brian and I were speaking about this in the hallway. With Calvin still in the fold, you don't speed up the process or put pressure on still developmental guys like Chimere Dika and Alec Ayumana as well. They can naturally grow into their roles. They can naturally be in position where they're not the mainstays of this offense week in and week out. You know who your guys are going to be. It's Calvin Ridley, Wan'Dale Robinson. Those are the guys, to me, that's got to be leading the way and have the veteran mindset into what a Brian Dable's offense is going to look like, because the other part of this is the familiarity. We're speaking about all the guys that Robert Saleh is bringing into this. John Franklin Myers, all the other guys that's played for him. I think Alante Taylor is one of the few guys that hadn't been in his system at some point in time. Well, Brian Dable somewhat needs it. I know he and Calvin hadn't worked professionally together. But when you look at a head coach type in Brian Dable that has to bring in his guys to get his system to work and also help mature a rookie quarterback, this makes sense. Titans fans, I personally can't see why, if the reduction in salary is sufficient enough, why you would be upset about this. Not that anybody has, suggested that, but this is a football move to me, football business.
So what does that do for the draft for the rest of free agency for you, Ramon, at wide receiver? Where do the Titans still need to add? How much do the Titans still need to add for Cam at receiver?
How much they need to? I think one more guy. It depends on what caliber you're looking for. We've talked to Stoney Keeley, other draft experts about this class of wide receivers. It's deep. It gives you flexibility. Whether you get one in the second of a higher quality or third that you can develop, it allows you that because you still got two young guys behind them. And Alec Ayumena and Chimere Dike that can still grow up into those roles where you're not forcing guys. And I feel like that's what last year was. I almost feel like that's why Alec Ayumena burned out somewhat too, because you go from just being a, 4th-round draft pick. So when Calvin gets injured and you got no other offensive weapons, he's not ready for what the NFL is going to allow him or wanting him to do in that moment. I'm not minimizing him, Will, Alec Ayumena, that is. But I do look at that and say, there was no expectation that he was going to turn himself into wide receiver one for this team. It, to me, just opens up the entire draft into the variations of wide receivers that you can go get in the second round, or you say, we'll take the best in the second round at any other position, and we still got good quality in the third round. That's still a high-quality pick, a third-round pick. I don't want anybody to minimize what that talent says by being picked in the third round.
He was a 4th-round pick.
Who?
Ayumena.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying this year's draft.
Sure.
First 3 rounds are quality picks.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't get one in the second, I don't think there should be any means to be panicking.
I think my ideal situation is Jeremiah Love at 4, one of the edge rushers at 35, and a wide receiver at 66. That changed when Calvin Ridley was signed. The only thing it does for me is prolong a little bit of your need to go find a wide receiver. And Daniel Jeremiah has said, and I'm interested to ask Matt Miller about this at 9:20, the difference in receiver quality from picks about 32 to 75 is marginal. There are a lot of really good receivers. It is a matter of fit and what type you are looking for. Now, that being said, if a lot of those boundary X's and big, more physical guys go between picks 30 to 50 or 30 to 60, and there's a run before you get there, and you're left with the smaller, speedier slot guys, well, that may change your methods there. It may change what you look for with the 66 pick and with the third round. But I think the Titans need a big boundary X receiver in a draft that is plentiful with them. From players like Chris Bell to Malachi Fields to Bryce Lance, who we mentioned, he'll probably be there day 3. There are a lot of big targets. Ted Hurst out of Georgia State is another one. The McAllister kid from TCU, Frog, is another one. That's what I think the Titans still need to go get. Where is your physical, big-bodied receiver that is going to require less precision down the field in terms of Cam Ward's accuracy? Who's got the catch radius? Who is your possession guy? Because right now, Ramon, for Cam Ward, when I look at his weaknesses, I see 2 things. I see a player that holds onto the ball too long at times, and I see a player whose downfield accuracy needs to be better. So who's got the catch radius that can minimize the second one? Who can take a little bit of a more inaccurately thrown pass and still reel it in to move the chains? Yeah. That's what I think Cam Ward needs.
For sure. I'm there with you as well. I see a comment that said, draft Carnell Tate. He is Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne was a late first-round draft pick. Okay? So my point on that conversation, Rock, I know, which Reggie Wayne's was a great when he got to that point where he and Peyton. My point is this: I personally don't think Carnell Taylor's a top 5 selection for this team. It's just based off what's in front of him, and just what he's presented himself at the combine as well, and the role he quite played at Ohio State. Like, we're talking about Jeremiah. I mean, what's his name? Jeremiah Smith. Different conversation at Ohio State at top 5. I don't think Carnell Tate fits that bid at all. Okay, I just want to start there as well. I'll add this to the fact on the tight end. On the wide receiver conversation for the Titans. I do think there's one more need at veteran signing, maybe a 1-year guy as well. Just because if Calvin does go down, or Wandale has a a pinky issue. The veteran presence on the field, I think, is necessary. I'm not sure who that other veteran is to be signed, or if they feel like they got Bryce Oliver that fits the bill as well. But I think there's one more veteran need before you get to the draft pick as well. But we'll see. And it might be a minimum dude.
Let's quickly go to Jackson in Nashville on the phones. What's up, Jackson?
Morning, Jackson.
Hey, guys. Hey, I just wanted to ask what y'all think about the possibility of taking Chris Brazel at 35. I'm a Tennessee fan, so I was just wondering.
No doubt.
Sure. Thanks,
Appreciate
Jackson.
that, Jackson.
What do you think?
You want me to take it? I'll
Yeah.
take it. Well,
At 35?
Removing the Tennessee side of it, he is what you could use down the field. Stoney Keeley was just on with us as well. Like, a lot of people look at the Tennessee offense and see gimmicks. What I saw this year from Chris Brazel, because I watched every game, because I called every game, his ability to catch the football is unique. It's a superpower. His speed is uncanny. Like, everything that you want in a big body guy is there. For the YouTube watchers of tape or people that look at highlights, look at his entire game. He's got comebacks. He's got digs. He's got crossing routes. He's got down the field. He's got big-time catches on his reel as well. I'm saying this is somebody that evaluate guys for what they show. Chris Brazel is a guy that you want on your team. I don't think attitude is an issue. I think the smarts is there if you teach him the way you need to as well. And I got zero indication that he's a problem. And that's my non-Tennessee bias on him as well. That's the way you look at that situation.
I would be great with Chris Brazel at 35. Great with it. Anyone who's going to use the Chris Brazel Tennessee system against him, I don't think has watched Tennessee's offense very closely.
Yeah.
That is not the same deep choice offense that Jalen Hyatt was running at wide receiver or that Cedric Tillman was running. There are a lot more pro concepts in Chris Brazel's bag than probably any other Josh Heupel Tennessee wide receiver coming out in the draft.
Yeah.
So is it a little bit of a reach? Probably. Would I still be okay with it? Absolutely.
Right.
And where he went to school has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that he fits exactly what the Titans need. A big receiver with a wide catch radius who can also take the top off the defense.
Yeah.
Check, check, and check.
Yep. I agree.
Appreciate the call, Jackson.
Appreciate that.
Coming up, Ryan Shumpert will join us. Jackson can stick around for that. So can you, if you're a Vols fan. What went wrong against Vanderbilt? What the matchups look like in the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament in the city of brotherly love. Ryan Shumpert joins us to talk about all of that after this.
It's Ramon Foster here for Jewel Roofing and Exteriors, man. I'm speaking on behalf of them because they are a trusted family-owned Middle Tennessee company that's been serving from Clarksville to Murfreesboro for over 25 years. They stand up by building relationships and earning trust through referrals, never through high-pressure tactics, door knocking, or storm chasing. Speaking of storm chasing, last night, I know up in Sumner County, there was a lot of wind, a lot of issues. I may have been a spin up as far as a tornado goes as well. What I do know, because I've dealt with it personally, is those shingles start to come up when you got winds that are hitting over 70 miles per hour, or you just have the constant just pressure of change on top of your roof. I'm here to tell you that Jewel Roofing and Exteriors has been by my house and fixed those issues for me as well. If you got those loose shingles, I'm telling you, get them fixed, because that loose shingle can end up being a leak later, or just one of those entrance ways into your home where you really have a bigger issue. They've, as I told you, been on my roof fixing issue for me before, and it's been flawless ever since. For a roofer that you can count on, simply call them at 615-868-9999 or visit jewelroofing.com. That's Jewel Roofing with 2 L's.com.
Ramon Will continues here on 104.5 The Zone at hour number 3. Ramon Foster and Will Bowling, pleased to be joined by a Nashville native, a Titans fan, and Rocky Top Insider writer covering Tennessee athletics, Ryan Shumpert, this morning. Did I say those in the right order, Ryan? Or, Nashville native, Titans fan, Vols writer. Does that work for you?
I think I'd go Titans fan, Vols writer,
Okay.
Nashville native.
Okay,
I think
perfect.
that's the pecking order I'd go with.
Cam Ward lover, Ryan Shumpert with us this morning here
That's right.
on 104.5 The Zone. Ryan, I know it's been a couple days at this point, but going back to Friday as you kind of piece together the way Tennessee's SEC tournament ended against Vanderbilt, what do you take away just from the entire weekend for Tennessee? What went well, what didn't go well?
Yeah, I think what went well, or what was, maybe obvious before and even more so after, is just how important it is for Nate Ament to play well, how badly Tennessee needs him to be a go-to guy offensively. You see against Auburn, a game that the Vols are down by double digits and struggling to really score consistently enough to make a run in the second half. And then Nate Ament gets going. He scores 10 straight. He scores 17 points in the second half, and Tennessee turns a 10-point deficit into about a 10-point win. And then you see in the Vanderbilt game, even in a game that Jacoby Gillespie, who had been in a little bit of a shooting slump the last couple of weeks, found a stroke. But Nate struggled to hit shots. You saw Tennessee struggle to score consistently enough to keep up. And then I think the two other things I'd point to in that Vanderbilt game of why Tennessee lost that have kind of been commonalities in their losses this season. Poor free throw shooting. I think Tennessee's shooting 62% in games that they lose this season. I mean, it's a pretty crazy stat. Like, shooting 70% is really not very good. Tennessee's lost one game this year where they shot 70% from the foul line. That was Kansas. So that continues to be a bugaboo for them. And then you saw Tennessee really have no answers for Duke Miles. And we've seen that be not like a glaring issue all season, but it's popped up at times where opposing guards, Tennessee just really struggles to slow down and doesn't have answers for him. And certainly after multiple years as Zakai Ziegler and Jemai Meshack, that's kind of a new area that Tennessee is not used to struggling in, but has faced some issues this season.
Ryan Shumpert, a Rocky Top Insider, our guest. I know Rick Barnes talked about Nate saying, I'm not sure the doctors wanted him to play as much as he did, and I'm not sure if we would have kept winning how much he would have played. How close to 100% does Nate Ament feel to you at this point, Ryan?
I don't think super close to 100%, but I think it's one of those things that it's just a pain tolerance still at this point for him. I don't think there's a ton of concern about doing significant damage from an injury standpoint if he goes out there and plays, and Nate wants to play. Nate, he said, I was talking to him in the open locker room after the Auburn game, and I was kind of asking him how close to 100% is he, and he wasn't giving me any full answers, but, he said, yeah, there's still some pain, but and then I asked him if he expected to play, which I think was 32 minutes in that game, and he goes, yeah, I knew they were going to be asking me if I was good and needed to come out, and I just knew I was going to tell them that I was fine every time. So Nate wants to keep playing. Nate wants to be out there. I'm not sure he's 100%. There wasn't any specific minutes restrictions for them in those two games, but I don't think Tennessee went into it planning on playing him as much as they ended up doing, but I think that's kind of the nature of just going back to the point I made a minute ago. Tennessee needs Nate Ament badly, and if he's available and he's out there saying he's good to go, I think it made it difficult for Tennessee to take him out. But to what Rick Barnes said after the game, and sort of echoed again yesterday after the selection show, it probably wasn't the worst thing in the world that Tennessee just played two games and went home and didn't have to push Nate in that right leg injury any further.
We're joined by Ryan Shumpert, who's covering Vols sports for Rocky Top Insiders this morning. Also, you can follow his new account on Twitter,
That's
man.
right. Come on, Elon, let him back in.
I dealt with the same thing, Ryan. Just so you know, it took me over a year, Will, to get my account back. They'll give it back to you. You probably have to buy the blue check mark or whatever. But with that being said, Ryan, when you look at the roles of like the star players are supposed to be playing, Jacoby Gillespie and specifically Nate Ament, the issue I feel like the Vols have had in the losses, either the Kentucky losses, the Vandy losses, is there's no answers. You got Nate that went 1 for 11 or 1 for 13 from the floor. I know he got his points at the free throw line, but between those two guys and Gillespie and Ament, where's the scoring when teams go on runs? What does Coach Barnes have to do to kind of push that narrative a little bit further, where stop the nose bleeding, which has been an issue I feel like this year?
Yeah, it has been. Well, we've seen it in a number of games that have been tight for the first 30 minutes, and then Tennessee has a 3-4 minute scoring drought or 3-4 minute field goal drought, and they just don't have the answers. And I think that goes back to this time of year. It's got to be your stars that step up, and I think it has to be those two guys. Tennessee, we knew going into this season that Tennessee was going to be very heavily dependent on those two offensively. I don't think Tennessee has gotten, as a whole, the front court offensive production that they anticipated they would get, which has put all the more pressure on those guys. And certainly defenses are doing everything they can to take those guys away, but I think those are the guys that just have to step up in those moments. You would hope to maybe convert on some more offensive rebounding opportunities from Tennessee's big men, but if it's me and Tennessee's in a scoring drought and I'm coaching Tennessee, I'm trying to get the ball to Nate with his back to the basket 10 to 15 feet. I mean, they're not automatic shots, but those are shots that he practices a ton. He's made a ton. With his height, are generally pretty unguardable. I think you go to that. You hope he can get to the foul line. You hope he can knock down those shots because he's capable of doing it. But to your point, Ramon, that's been an issue for Tennessee all year, and it's something that I don't see magically being fixed at this point. But I think when you get in those spots, you just got to ride with your best guys and bank on them to be able to pull you out of those spots.
Man, being at Bridgestone on Friday for the Vandy game, I felt like watching the Vols go into the paint to try to get scores. Like, their level of physicality is present at all time, but I feel like the way they're missing layups is too present. Like, I was watching Jalen Carey and Estrella and all those guys go up through contact, and it seems like they're not adjusting for the finish. Is it at that point to where they just got to dunk every ball in the paint to stop missing these layups, literally, with how their physicality is playing a part into these misses, I feel?
Yeah, that would go a long way. I think especially with, and he doesn't take as many of those shots, but especially with Felix Okpara. He's a guy, when you just talk about his athleticism, it feels like he can dunk a lot of balls that he tries to shoot layups. I think it's a little bit harder with Jalen Carey. I don't think he has quite as much lift. On JP Estrella, I'd like to see him stop going for so many tip-ins on offensive rebounds and just grab the ball and go back up with it. It feels like his conversion rate on those tip-in attempts has been, pretty brutal for Tennessee all season. So that's been, I think, one of the more frustrating parts of this team. They are a once-in-a-generation type offensive rebounding team. I think they're the third highest offensive rebound rate in the last 25 years nationally, not just at Tennessee. But they just don't do a very good job of converting on those opportunities. And just when you're playing two big men and the issues that causes from a spacing standpoint, and the way that clogs the lane for Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie when they're trying to drive, like, you can play that way and still be effective, but Tennessee needs those guys to be a little bit more efficient converting on their opportunities. And they've shown that at flashes, especially JP Estrella has had some flashes where he's been really good and really productive, but just not enough consistency.
Ryan Shumpert, a Rocky Top Insider, our guest. Ryan Shumpert 00, where you get him on Twitter. Ryan, what stands out to you about Tennessee's draw in Philadelphia in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think it's an interesting standpoint just from a preparation of not knowing who you're going to play until Wednesday night. Now, I think the draw from the first round standpoint was pretty solid. SMU has, even more so than Tennessee, been struggling entering the NCAA tournament. They lost their final 4 games of the regular season. They won 1 game in the ACC tournament last week against Syracuse before losing to Louisville. So they're a team that's struggling a bit. They hope to get B.J. Edwards back. The Knoxville native, former Vol, has missed the last couple games. He's a starter and a key player for them, so that could provide a boost. And it is a good three-point shooting team. I think that's maybe the thing that stands out about both SMU and Miami, Ohio. These are good three-point shooting teams. We know how valuable that can be in margin, and not that a 6-11 upset is some massive upset, but just a team that's trying to pull an upset of any level. That three-point shooting is the equalizer. We know Tennessee does not shoot the ball well from 3. both these teams do. We know Tennessee's almost certainly going to drag their opponent into a low possession game, which makes the room for error even less. So I think Tennessee's going to have a difficult task, not a terrible draw by any means, but a difficult task either way. And then certainly Miami, Ohio, it's rare that we get to the NCAA tournament before there's a game being played and you kind of already know the makings of who the Cinderella story feels like because of what Miami, Ohio's done in the regular season. You can count on in Philadelphia if Tennessee gets Miami, Ohio. The neutral observers in that game will be very pro Red Hawk, and that will make it a little bit more of a road environment, whereas if Tennessee faces SMU, I don't think there's going to be a ton of rooting interest either way from the neutrals. So that's one element I think that, in a 11 seed first four game of one being a mid-major and one being a Power 5 team that makes it a little bit unique.
At least the Pearl family be cheering for Tennessee again in that hypothetical matchup. With Virginia as the 3 seed, not to look too far ahead, Ryan, but just at the entire draw, Ken Pom has them pretty much by far ranked as the lowest 3 seed, just actually 3 spots ahead of Tennessee, with Virginia 13th, Tennessee 16th. It's a matchup we saw last year in the Bahamas. It's an interesting strength-on-strength style, and Virginia, who's also one of the top 10 offensive rebound percentage teams in college basketball this year. Do you like the matchup there, Ryan, for Tennessee with its corresponding 3 seed and a team that is in a lot of ways really similar to them?
Yeah, I think so in some ways. In others, I think, I'd rather have seen Michigan State because I think you talk about a team that's just basically the exact same as Tennessee. Virginia can space the floor a little bit more. I think the thing I'd point to with Virginia is they're a good three-point shooting team. You mentioned it. They're really good on the offensive glass, and they don't really turn the ball over a lot. So that's just a winning recipe. But Virginia is a unique situation in that the analytics or Ken Pom or Bart Torbay, they don't love them, but the record's just been really good all year. They've just been chugging along, haven't lost many games. Now, they didn't play a super hard non-conference schedule, but they lose to Virginia Tech on New Year's Eve in their ACC opener. Since then, they've lost 3 games, 2 of them to Duke, another to North Carolina, and certainly that game Saturday night against Duke in the ACC championship was really competitive. So, I think it's not a draw Tennessee can really be complaining about by any means. They could have gotten a worse one, but I do think, Virginia is maybe a little bit better than their metrics indicate, or at least have played up above those metrics this season.
Ron, just switching hats, if you don't mind, for a second, man. You cover all sports, and you do cover baseball, man. And what a brutal moment, man, for Stone Lawless this past weekend. Had one robbed from him, had a great celebration, and the Vols lose the series to Georgia. That moment, and also leaving Braden Crimsel out there as well. Where do you sit this past weekend on Vols baseball versus Georgia in SEC play?
Yeah, it's a really odd dynamic where I think Tennessee played better than I expected them to, and in a lot of ways I left maybe more encouraged about this Tennessee team and where they're at than I did entering. But man, when you have these SEC series, these SEC games are just precious, and when you have such good opportunities to win and you're ahead in the late games, especially in a series rubber match, like you just got to be able to finish the job. I thought that Josh Elander's decision to, ride it out with Braden Crimsel was a bad one. I mean, that's easy to say in the rear view, but it felt that way at the time, too. It felt like Crimsel was missing well out of the zone or leaving pitches over the middle. And look, Tennessee still had a number of, solid arms left in the bullpen. We saw Bo Rudy come in and pitch well the rest of the game. They had Brady Frederick pretty fresh. They had Mark Hindy, who hadn't pitched on the weekend. So it wasn't like Tennessee. Sometimes you get in these Sunday games and you're just out of pitching, and you're kind of asking somebody, even if they don't have it, to really grit through it. It didn't feel like Tennessee was in that position. And then I think there's, for an offense that struggled so much, I think there's some level of positivity that they did respond after falling down by 2 and competing and, making it a very tight game, but certainly as heartbreaking as it gets for that finish. And, obviously I think, a bat spike Stone Lawless would probably like to have back, given that it didn't go a couple more feet. But good fight there. But in the end, in these SEC series where the margins are so slim, I think that's one we could be looking back at the end of the year, and Tennessee could be kicking themselves for.
Gotcha.
He is Ryan Shumpert covering Tennessee athletics at Rocky Top Insider at Ryan Shumpert00, the new account that has not been hacked on Twitter. Get him there. Titans fan and Nashville native, Ryan Shumpert. Always going to catch up with you, brother. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate it, Ryan.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, sir. Ryan Shumpert with us this morning talking some Vols. Yeah, easy opportunity for Tennessee baseball to just have the football or the bat spiked on them in the way that sequence happened yesterday.
And it went viral. Stone Lawless, I feel you. The way that bat swung, the way the contact sounded, it was perfect until it wasn't. Everybody's slam dunking that one right now, man. But again, SEC play is gonna be insane. LSU, I think, they lost the series of Vanderbilt this weekend as well. I know they cleaned house yesterday, LSU did, but this is going to be, I think, a grudge match type of conference every game this year.
Coming up, some breaking news this morning out of the west side of the state, as Memphis has made a decision on head coach Penny Hardaway, and their reasoning is fascinating to me after this.
United Structural Systems isn't just another repair company. They're your local foundation and waterproofing experts. They live here, they work here, and they understand exactly how Tennessee's soil, weather, and homes behave. They've been trusted in Tennessee since 1994, serving homeowners across Tennessee for over 30 years. More than 30,000 local homeowners have trusted USS. That experience means they've seen every type of problem our homes face. Every crack, I promise you, or leak tells a story, and USS knows what those signs mean. They pinpoint the problems at the source, whether it's foundation settlement, basement water intrusion, crawl space moisture issues, and more. No guesswork, y'all. Just experts diagnosing from people who understand Tennessee homes. Their repair solutions are engineered to stand up to our local conditions. They have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. And here's the cool part. If you sell your home, transferable lifetime warranties, local service, long-term protection. You're not just getting repairs, you're getting a peace of mind. You can go ahead and book your free home inspection at USSTN.com. I personally have done it myself. They're awesome, very thorough, very informative about everything that you need. Again, USSTN.com, United Structural Systems.
Ramon Will, 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up hour 3. Stick around for ESPN's Matt Miller coming up, talking NFL draft at 9:20. Your calls at 615-737-1045. Pete Thamel reports this morning, Ramon, that Memphis head coach Penny Hardaway will return next season. And that after multiple meetings with Memphis administration, Penny presented a plan for next season, which will be his 9th at the school. And according to sources, his return will include changes on the coaching staff and hiring a general manager. Penny Hardaway's Memphis Tigers were 13-19 this past season, including 7 consecutive losses before winning the regular season finale at Tulane, who they then lost to in the first round of the American Conference Tournament. That was Memphis's first losing season since 2000 under Johnny Jones, Ramon, the year before John Calipari arrived. Are you surprised to see Penny Hardaway keep his job?
No, because the University of Memphis has a problem. That problem is Penny's the hometown kid. He's the hometown legend. He's everything to Memphis, in my personal opinion. And one thing I've learned about Memphis State basketball, University of Memphis basketball, is they love what they love. And like, Penny represents all things good about Memphis. And that's their issue. If you fire him, then you better have a real strong cause as to why you're doing it. The issue that I have, though, with Penny making this move, and I'm going to say this again, is that he has done this before, recently. I know somebody personally that was on that staff that got let go after receiving a contract a couple years back. And that was the whole conversation then. They're hiring a GM. They're reshifting the coaching staff. They brought a veteran in, I feel like, to be a GM over this squad. And here we are again proclaiming this as if it didn't happen a couple of years ago. This has happened before. And I think what Memphis probably is saying, this is all just my opinion, allegedly, is they just don't know how to get rid of Penny. I didn't realize it's been 9 years. He's still getting players, and it's just the conference that they're playing has gotten good as well. And respectfully, Memphis is a hard place to recruit with the accessibility and the resources I think they have too. You got to play the NIL game. And maybe he's playing it to a point, but not like Alabama or Tennessee or the other Blue Bloods is playing as well.
I don't know that it is that hard of a place to recruit, though, right? Because, like, they have money, and in their backyard, there is a wealth of talent. I mean, just keeping kids home is enough to be, way better than 13-19. They are not a 13-19 level program or recruiting ground.
Nah, I don't know. I just view that as a little bit different. Like, if you're telling me to that point, you're getting one and dones like Calipari was getting in Memphis, totally different story.
What's keeping them from doing that?
I just resources. I personally don't know if they have the money behind the basketball program.
They got FedEx money.
That's just like saying, well, we got Haslam money at Tennessee. You got to also show proof of winning. And Penny hasn't shown that. Like, not what I'm getting at is this. As far as Memphis is concerned, I think there's more to just saying FedEx money is just sitting there. You also got to prove that you're worth this money. And I think it shows too with the amount of 5 stars or one and dones that Memphis has gotten. I don't think they're in that conversation of being a one and done organization like they once were under Cal.
I think the tricky thing for Penny within all of this is that when he was hired, he was framed as an elite recruiter with great connections within the city of Memphis, within the AAU circuit of basketball, that was going to be able to attract top-end talent. He's Penny Hardaway. This should be what Deion Sanders is able to do at Colorado. The difference is that Penny Hardaway did it in the jersey that he is recruiting to. But now the reasoning for keeping him is we're going to let someone else build the roster? Well, then what does Penny Hardaway do?
That move has been done.
Right. That's the weird thing to me, is that if Penny Hardaway can't put together a good enough team, then what is his strength really? Because I don't know if he was ever framed as the X's and O's savant kind of guy. And maybe Penny Hardaway is a good X's and O's coach. I'm not going to pretend to know the weeds of what he is or isn't in that department. I do know this. He was framed as an elite recruiter that was going to be able to get top talent when he came in. And now that's not even really his job anymore.
No.
So why not just go ahead and move on to somebody who can do both?
Yeah.
Or who is a more X's and O's type of basketball coach and not just an elite recruiter.
And that's the issue that you're running into with Penny, and I hate that for him because I do think Penny's worth the patience, but this is a gotta have it type of league at all time when it comes down to basketball, and specifically the love that Memphis has for basketball as well. The love for Penny makes it hard to make a move on. It's just where I'm at. And nobody's going to say that, in my personal opinion.
I think that is very fair.
That is where I'm at. I see people were mentioned, of course, had James Wiseman. Still didn't go deep in the tournament with that one as well. Jalen Duran was another one that he had. I think he ended up going 13th in the draft. For where I think the expectation of Memphis to be, they're not meeting the requirements of getting back to being considered a blue blood or just peak Memphis basketball. And we know what peak Memphis basketball looked like with Penny too. We attach also the other side of this. Just because businesses or people are attached to your organization, to your program, that's just automatic. I've seen it in our chat so far too. Well, Penny got to ask for that Nike and FedEx money. I don't care how much bread a person has. At some point in time, you feel like you've been foolish and pouring out the way you should. And again, what was their record again this past year?
13 and 19.
That don't make me want to invest. If I'm bleeding money and I'm not seeing the results and I'm already speaking about you being retained, you got to go prove to me that you can coach it. And I don't think we've seen that as of late for what Memphis's expectations were. I think they started off the season top ranked, and then they fell off the boat early in the season this year. I'm with this nostalgia of what Memphis basketball represents. I personally just don't think it's there right now. Not even a little bit.
The Memphis program, this is from the Memphis Commercial Appeal on March 4th, is also facing a $1.2 million shortfall in ticket sales. So Memphis ticket sales have fallen short of the athletic department's budgeted goal by $1.2 million, according to athletic director Ed Scott, who made a presentation during the school's Board of Trustees meeting. The season ticket sales generated $2.7 million on February 21st, well short of their projection.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's not great at all. I'm going to look up recruits in the state that we mentioned basketball recruiting. I need to see what it looks like and who's leaving the city and who's choosing to go play for Memphis as well.
Let's go to Nick on the phones in the meantime. What's up, Nick?
Hey, guys. So Penny, if you think about when he first got the job, he had the number one class in the nation. And then NIL hit, and then people started transferring. So he changed his model. And this year was a complete disaster because he was supposed to have Dane Danger come back, and I think P.J. Haggerty left and went to Kansas State. Mm-hmm. So it was just a bad year all the way around. He didn't even have the guys that he really wanted to have. So, and then you can't fire the most famous alum that you have. You just can't do that.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate the call. It's kind of the boat you're in right now. You got to be really positive that it's not going to work if you decide to move on from a university and Memphis legend.
No doubt, and that's the issues that you're kind of running into with Penny. It's fascinating. I'm a Penny fan, so it's hard for me to talk bad or ill about him in general. But that's just kind of where I'm looking at the 25 class for the state of Tennessee as far as top recruits go. It wasn't that many. It was Trey Thompson out of Greenville, went to Iowa. Cade Berneman, Father Ron, went to Northwestern.
Yeah.
Bennerman. The state, as far as West Tennessee goes, in my personal opinion, isn't showing a plethora of talent in it. There's KJ Tanner, Cordova, right out of Memphis, ended up going to West Virginia. And then Tyler Tanner is another top-rated kid here in Brentwood, of course, goes to Vandy. So it's not as strong as I think Memphis high school basketball as far as talent once was. And if you can't get them in state or got the money to go get NIL, these are the issues you're going to have.
Coming up, fourth and final hour of the show, Matt Miller of ESPN coming up at 9:20 talking NFL draft. Why Vandy got the wrong seed. Tell you why their path is tougher than it should be after this.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people, we are transitioning from warm weather last week to now cold. It's snowing outside. And that means you probably have to turn the heat back on or AC over the last few days. Listen, if you need to, and you probably do, have to have your HVAC service, I'm telling you, reach out to Hiller, man, before it gets hot outside. And you know what I mean by this Tennessee weather, y'all. But I do know this. When you call Hiller, the experts are going to solve whatever problems you have quickly, whether that's plumbing and heating or cooling or electrical. They do a really good job. And the price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. There are no hidden fees or surprises on your bill when you get it. And in this economy, you need that to be upfront and be very honest about what they're doing with you. And I know this in dealing with Hiller. They'll bring you the tablet, show you everything that they worked on, the service charge, everything itemized, what comes with the warranty or not. And they'll be thorough with you. They believe in this, though. Happy you'll be, the service is free. If you get any of those jobs done around your house and you're not satisfied with it, they'll fix it as best they can or just simply give you your money back. Listen, to book with them or learn more about Hiller, simply head over to happyhiller.com.
It is 9:02. Good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Justin Hawkins. Arkansas beat Vanderbilt in the men's SEC tournament final yesterday, 86-75, behind a 30-point, 11-assist outing by Darius Acuff Jr. It is the Razorbacks' first SEC tournament title since back in 2000. The NCAA tournament starts this week. The brackets are set, and 10 SEC teams made the tournament. The one seeds are Arizona in the West, Michigan in the Midwest, Florida in the South, and Duke in the East. Locally, Tennessee gets the 6th seed in the Midwest region. They'll play Friday in Philadelphia versus the winner of Miami of Ohio and SMU coming up on Wednesday. Vanderbilt, they get the 5 seed in the South region. They'll play McNeese State on Thursday in Oklahoma City. And Tennessee State, they're the 15th seed in the Midwest region. They'll play Iowa State coming up this Friday. TSU returns to the big dance for the first time since back in 1994. In the women's NCAA tournament, Vanderbilt is a 2 seed, and they'll play High Point on Saturday. In Tennessee, they're the 10 seed. They'll play NC State this Friday. Nashville Soccer Club, they remain unbeaten after a 1-0 win over Columbus Crew Saturday night in Columbus, and they improved to 3-0-1 on the season. Hani Mukhtar scored his 150th career MLS goal 4 minutes into stoppage time, and goalkeeper Brian Schwacke recorded his 5th shutout in 7 matches this season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go into the 4th and final hour this morning on Ramon and Will. Hope you're having a good start to your morning and to your week on one of the best weeks of the year. March Madness upon us. Tennessee, Friday afternoon, starting off with the winner of SMU and Miami of Ohio. Vanderbilt knows its fate, taking on McNeese, one of the darlings of NCAA tournament action over the past couple of seasons, the former home of Nashville's own Will Wade, who, of course, is now at NC State. They're in the first 4, taking on Texas. But Vanderbilt was supposed to be a higher seed in the March Madness bracket preview on February 21st. Back then, they were a 4 seed, and since then, all they've done is had 4 more wins over tournament teams and 3 quad 1A victories, including 2 over Tennessee, in the 9 days leading up to Selection Sunday. That is more wins than Kansas, who went 3-4 since February 21st when they were called a 3 seed. That's better than Michigan State, who went 4-2 after the bracket preview as a 4 seed. They rose to the 3 line, and Nebraska took losses to UCLA and Purdue, finished 6-6. Got blown out in those 2 games. After landing as a 3 seed, their best win since February 21st was against 9th seeded Iowa. All those teams stayed put. Vanderbilt stuck at 5th. I know I said earlier I'd swap them and Gonzaga. Obviously, then Arkansas would be behind Vandy. But I think, Ramon, at the very least, Vandy has a case to be a 4 seed and probably also has a case to be a 3 seed.
Absolutely. It's. I wonder, though, because of what their record is and how they started the season off, not really being challenged. Will, what were they, 19-0 going into SEC play? Like, they did get Vanderbilt. Well, they did. South Carolina didn't make the tournament at all. Memphis didn't make the tournament at all. And then they got a South Carolina win. Their best early win was Alabama at the time. And they ended up beating them by 6 points at home as well. The earlier part of the season, I wonder how much that matters. And then the teams that you mentioned in the SEC that they played down as of late, yeah, the Florida win was huge, but it almost seems as if, and I'm not sure, but Florida may have packed it in for rest. Who knows at this point, right? That's always a conversation of how you manage your team going into the conference championships. Are you good enough, or are you trying to find rest to you know what I'm saying, to get your guys back healthy? But again, I personally don't have an issue with where they are slated. I get the conversation. I think the bigger issue for Vanderbilt, and I think it holds true in all other sports other than their women's basketball program, they're not blue enough just yet. In baseball, they're not at that point in which that conversation comes to the forefront when you mention Vanderbilt basketball. That's one of those things, and I'm not saying they don't have history. I'm not saying that it's not important. But when you mention the teams that are slated in front of them in this tournament, you mentioned Gonzaga, Arkansas with Calipari, or who was it, Purdue. These are teams, as of recent, have been at the forefront or the top of the conversation in college basketball. And I know Calipari shouldn't be in this conversation with what Arkansas was before he got there, but the respect factor, the same way Bruce Pearl was trying to use his influence to get his son or Auburn into the NCAA tournament. Change the views on you. It's not about doing it once. It's a matter of how can you stack these type of years, year after year, year after year, year after year. And I feel like this year in particular for Vanderbilt, they are a product of not being a known name with the selection committee as much.
I think the same can be said about their rivalry with Tennessee.
Yes.
Vanderbilt has won 2026 so far in athletics over Tennessee.
Yeah.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
If you really want to turn the table on a rivalry, you don't do that with one good season and one down season. I mean, this is a down year for the Vols.
Facts.
In basketball. It's the lowest seed that Rick Barnes has ever had on an NCAA tournament team at Tennessee, and they're still a 6 seed. And we're pretty even with Vanderbilt in all those 3 matchups that came down to the last few minutes. It takes a lot more than your best year barely beating Tennessee's worst in years to say that the rivalry has shifted or it's a new age or that, Vandy's spending money now, so it's different. Well, they're not the only team in the rivalry that's spending money.
No.
Tennessee is also spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
It just didn't fall their way this year for whatever reason. And that's coming off of 2 straight Elite Eights.
No doubt.
So, of course, you're going to have a season where things don't click. Doesn't mean we have to have a referendum on the rivalry or on either program. That being said, I think they at least deserved a 4 seed. The good news is, it doesn't really make a difference.
It don't.
The difference between a 5 seed and a 4 seed is playing a 12 or a 13 in the first round, and that's about it.
Yeah.
The difference between a 5 and a 3, now that's a different conversation.
For sure.
And I think they had a case to be a 3. What I think is frustrating is the fact that Purdue goes all the way up to a 2 after beating Michigan and going all the way to that SC or the Big Ten tournament championship and winning it. Purdue got rewarded for its wins, including on Sunday, and Vanderbilt really didn't. What you could control, though, is beating Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And Tyler Tanner had a bad game at a bad time. Weren't able to hit a lot of the contested shots and a lot of the threes that you did against Tennessee and against Florida. And the other side, Arkansas shot 62.5% from 3. Not a good recipe to hoisting your first SEC tournament title in 14 years.
Just looking at how these seasons have kind of unfolded, right? It's always usually strength of schedule, reputable wins. I know Tennessee always gets brought up with the Houston win and stuff like that. Like, when does it matter? Like, I know getting momentum, finding your way at the beginning of the season means a lot to you. It's the same conversation we had about Vanderbilt football earlier this season in 2025. Oh, wait till they get to. And then, of course, Virginia was a dud. South Carolina was a dud. And they continued to reel on. And in the end, it didn't help Vanderbilt in football, their case for the CFP. Now, looking to that point you made about Purdue. Purdue earlier in the season was playing competitive matchups. They beat Alabama at Alabama, wherever that game was at the time. You look at the time, Texas Tech, they beat them as well. They lost to Iowa State bad in the season. But at the time as well, earlier in the season, the non-conference play, they ended up beating a ranked Auburn team at the time. That 19-0 was fine.
By 28 points, mind you.
By 28 points.
Yeah, beat them 88-60.
That time in which Vanderbilt was 19-0 and undefeated, they still were asking for respect. I think they weren't in the top 10 or had just gotten to the top 10 after they beat Arkansas at the time, or Arkansas at the time. Alabama at the time.
They lost Arkansas.
But the schedule matchup does mean more, I think, than we've given it credit for, too. And to your point about Purdue, they got hot as of late. They beat the right teams, and they end up beating Michigan. I think they garnered, Will, that going up to 2, because also their history in the tournament.
That shouldn't matter, though.
It should.
The history in the tournament should not matter whatsoever.
But
that's the problem.
I know. Yeah.
Well, no, I think they had a standalone game Sunday that they won that Vandy lost.
Yeah.
That's the difference. They beat Michigan in the Big Ten tournament championship, and Vanderbilt couldn't beat Arkansas.
A real good Michigan team as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very
absolutely.
Good. Purdue with wins over Northwestern, Nebraska, UCLA, and Michigan on their way to the tournament title.
Yeah.
2 teams with players also that are very good at drawing fouls.
That's what I was gonna
And
ask.
the legacy of Purdue with Zach Edey and now Tyler Tanner at Vanderbilt. Tell you what, I sat there for every game of the tournament from Thursday through Sunday in the arena. Tyler Tanner has developed a reputation. This is not a negative. People will twist this into a negative because I'm saying it, and I promise you it's not. He's got the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander skill of getting to the foul line.
Brother.
Whether he's throwing his head back, whether he's flailing and falling to the floor. Again, these are not negatives. It's part of the game. But Tyler Tanner has an understanding on how to get to the foul line and how to show refs that he has been touched in the Tennessee game, how to show refs that he's been breathed upon. Ramon, the state of officiating in college basketball is a crisis. It is a crisis. It is downright ridiculous. Ridiculous what college basketball officiating is in 2026.
I second that. All in favor?
Again, and I'm going to say it really slowly so nobody can say I'm making excuses. No one is saying the refs decided the Tennessee-Vanderbilt game.
Bro.
No one is saying that. I'm giving credit where credit's due. Tyler Tanner's really good at drawing fouls.
Damn good.
Really good at drawing fouls. I thought Arkansas was able to actually play defense and be more physical defensively, and that ultimately made the difference of the game and some of those Vandy shots not falling that were against Tennessee and Florida. Because they were, I think, getting some more calls in those games than they were yesterday against Arkansas.
Bro.
Arkansas was allowed to physically defend Vanderbilt's guards.
Bro, it's funny because I'm sitting with the refs on the game on Friday, and there's somebody in the crowd yelling, "Foul merchant" to Nate Ament. And I'm just looking at this, like, I didn't see who it was. I think it was a fan of opposing. Nobody else playing on the court at the time. And I was just like, I don't think you've watched this game. Tyler Tanner is elite at getting the and one and the fouls. Like, I admire his play. I love how he's aggressive enough to make players want to get into him and draw the fouls too. But it was some in the gym. And I was just like, that's grace. That was grace given to him, and you got to support it, and hopefully it helps them go a long way too. But besides that, they beat the Vols fair and square. I thought, of course, the way Duke Miles played, no answer for stopping him, not even a little bit. The thing that got me with him was he scored throughout the duration of the game. He didn't have a hot streak. He just scored.
Yeah, he just wasn't missing.
They couldn't stop him.
I think his first missed field goal was a layup at the rim.
Comical.
Yeah, crazy.
Comical.
Coming up, ESPN's Matt Miller joins us. How has free agency changed what the Titans need in the NFL draft? Are the Titans ready for Jeremiah Love at 4? Matt Miller gives his take with us coming up next.
It's truck month and Two Rivers 4, and that means zero money down, zero financing, and zero payments for 90 days. But only at Two Rivers 4 do you get zero surprises and zero pressure. I'm telling you, at Two Rivers Ford, they do things a little bit differently than most dealerships. For starters, they have a non-commissioned sales team. So the salespeople are paid whether you buy a truck or not. So go ahead. You can ask all the questions, take all the test drives, check out the F-150, the Super Duty, the Maverick, and the Ranger if you want. Truck Month is all about you. And at Two Rivers Ford, you'll find the real prices online every time. They don't add a bunch of accessories or add-ons that you don't know about until you get to the dealership. They pride themselves on honesty and transparency like they have for over 4 decades. And by the way, Two Rivers Ford has one of the best inventories of Ford trucks in the Southeast, if not the best, personally. There's Ford Truck, and then there's always Two Rivers Ford Truck Month. So get to the South's most trusted Ford dealer for the best prices of the year on the best-selling truck in America. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Local, honest, real. Two Rivers Ford.
Ramon Will rolls on here on 104.5 The Zone in hour number 4 with the 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster. I'm Will Bowling. Pleased to be joined this morning by ESPN NFL draft analyst Matt Miller at NFL Draft Scout, where you follow him on Twitter. Matt, we feel fortunate this year because the Titans are not just Cam Ward or bust. It's not Peter Skoronski or Joe Alder bust. It feels like we got options this year in 2026. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you guys having me on.
No doubt.
My first question, Matt, is are the Titans ready for Jeremiah Love with the 4th overall pick? Because he has got a cult following here in Nashville.
He has one here in my house as well. He's my favorite player in the entire draft. So, yeah, we can all have a cult following for Jeremiah Love. I think he's an easy player to fall in love with. And he was that way coming out of high school in St. Louis as well. Like, he's just such a good player, good person, good prospect. Now, are the Titans ready? I think they are a hell of a lot readier than they were 2 weeks ago. And this is a team that has done, I think, a really good job in free agency of addressing those needs so that you could say, all right, we have a generational talent running back. We have a quarterback on a second-year deal. Are we, like you said, are we ready? Is the infrastructure set? Is the table set to draft a running back? I personally feel like it's a lot more set now than it was because of the trade for Jermaine Johnson. Getting John Franklin Myers, I think, was one of the most underrated players available in free agency. Getting Alontae Taylor. Making moves like that, I think, do set this team up to where you can say, okay, if at 4 overall, we don't value a pass rusher at that spot, there's not a trade out scenario that I can imagine. I think the only thing that's going to creep up and would be that question is there a wide receiver at 4 that you take? And if not, then I think that's where you say, okay, best player available regardless of positional value. And how do we help Cam Ward? Jeremiah Love looks pretty good in that situation.
Matt Miller of ESPN, our guest this morning on Ramon and Will. How do you compare Jeremiah Love to past running backs drafted in the top 10? And specifically, how are his skill sets similar or different from Ashton Genty a year ago?
Yeah, so let's compare him to Genty first. He's very different in that there's more home run speed. Jeremiah Love had 2 runs of over 90 yards to go for a touchdown at Notre Dame. He's a better receiver out of the backfield, better receiver out of the slot, just a much more complete player in the passing game. If you remember a year ago, that was the biggest question about Ashton Genty was the pass game. It was something he didn't do a lot of in 2025. He had done a little bit more of it in 24, but it was a big question mark to his game. So I look at Jeremiah Love, and I think he's a much more complete back, and he is more on par with Saquon Barkley. He's more on par with Bijan Robinson in terms of the pass game ability, but then also the contact balance, the vision. He gives you home run speed that is rare, and Genty didn't have that either. I think we saw that at times from Bijan. We saw it more from Saquon probably, but he's right up there with those guys. Is an elite running back prospect that can truly change an offense and that you can build an offense around.
We're joined by ESPN draft analyst Matt Miller this morning. You can also follow him on Twitter at NFL Draft Scout, just so you know as well. Matt, when you speak about Jeremiah Love as well, right now the Titans trying to figure out the right guard in their center position. They may have signed a guy, but there's probably going to be a competition. Is Jeremiah Love that good of a back to where he can hide deficiencies in the lack of talent on the offensive line if that is the case?
In some regard, yes. I think his vision is good enough. His speed's good enough to where you're going to see him be able to make some things happen up front. But the great thing about those positions is that you can find really good value at center and guard later in the draft. We see it every year, right? I mean, I know Trey Smith was like the enigma of all enigmas in that COVID draft, but you can find really good starters. And so I think if you're Tennessee at 66 and 101, you might be able to get, Sam Hecht from Kansas State. And now we're talking about a young starting center. You might be able to get a guard in this class to be, a right guard starter at pick 101. I think guard depth is pretty great this year to where maybe it's Micah Morris from Georgia, maybe it's DJ Campbell from Texas. There will be players that have values. And so I think, it's always important to look at it that way and say, okay, we have some weaknesses on the roster. Is that going to hold this pick back? And that's what the Raiders should have talked about a year ago, probably, right? Is, okay, we're going to take a running back. We don't have the offensive line ready for him. Is this a good pick? I think with Tennessee, because you have the quarterback and because you have enough pieces on the offensive line, a good running back is going to elevate some of those areas.
No doubt about it. It's hilarious every year going into it. The draft is already set in the fall during the football season. And everybody, including myself, was Ruben Bain to the Titans number 4. Well, that's kind of shifted because free agent kind of changes that up a little bit, in my opinion. What is Ruben Bain in this year's draft, or where does he get taken if the Titans don't take him at 4, with how some have, kind of speculated on him coming to the Titans during the season?
Yeah, I mean, I was with you in the season. I thought, okay, this is a move that makes a lot of sense. Then you hire Robert Saleh. I think that's where the calculus started to change for me. And here's my Ruben Bain spiel for you guys, if you haven't heard it before. I've been in this job for 15 years, and I have learned to take all the information I can get about a player because my job's really hard. And the job of a general manager is hard. The job of an area scout's hard. So we should take as much information as possible to evaluate players. A pass rusher with sub 31-inch arms has never been drafted in the first round in the last 30 years. A pass rusher with sub 31-inch arms has never had 10 sacks in an NFL season. We have Ruben Bain with 30 and 7/8-inch arms. So you're basically asking me, do I believe Ruben Bain is the outlier of all outliers? You're going to bet on him to break the mold. Maybe you're willing to do that. I would not be willing to do that at number 4 overall, definitely. I think 20s is probably where you start to say, okay, maybe this guy is the type of player that is going to, we're willing to be an outlier for. I haven't seen, I've seen a lot of football over the last 15 years doing this job, guys. It's tough to say, okay, this is the guy that we think is going to be different. And there's that at every position. That's not just a Ruben Bain thing. Cassius Howell from Texas A&M is a similar guy this year. So I like Ruben Bain. I think he plays with phenomenal fire and strength. Personally, I think I would be more comfortable drafting him in the 20s than I would be drafting him in the single digits or teens.
What about for people like myself and you who love film? And they say the argument for Bain, just watch the tape. Just watch the tape.
Yeah.
How do we take that as well? Because the tape is hot. The tape is against good talent. And he shows you his effectiveness. Is it more than just that when you're top 5 picking, I guess?
I think tape is always going to be the most important thing, right? But why not use the analytics to help us be better at watching tape, right? Yeah, that's how I look at it because, I was the same way. I was taught 20 years ago how to watch tape, and it was when you're evaluating a player, 90% tape, 90% tape. Well, now we have these different tools at our disposal. So why not use them? Why not say, okay, are we willing for this guy to be the guy that we, completely change our philosophy for? I think that's what makes the Ruben Bain an interesting conversation. And, it's again, Will Campbell was that last year. It's okay, you willing to take a tackle with shorter arm length than required? It worked out until he got banged up, and then that shorter arm length really showed up. So I think that's where you have to know your team and know these prospects and say, okay, this is when we're willing to take that gamble and when we're not.
Matt Miller of ESPN, our guest. Check out NFL Draft Daily from ESPN. Weekdays, 2 o'clock, ESPN 2, ESPN Plus, where you can get that analysis. Matt, when you look at pick 35 for the Titans, it feels like the options get even bigger. And you have a Zion Young from Missouri. You have Caden Proctor from Alabama, who could be there as a future left tackle option. You have wide receiver and so many of these boundary X receivers that are so plentiful in this draft. Where would you find the right fit, Matt? Obviously not knowing what the 34 picks are before it. What would be a dream pick for you that's realistic for the Titans at 35 overall?
Yeah, I think let's all live in our fantasy that we want Jeremiah Love there at 4. So I think if you take Love at 4, I'm right there with you. I would be looking at wide receiver. I think at 34 coming around, if somehow, I don't think Denzel Boston's going to sneak through from Washington, but Malachi Fields from Notre Dame, 6'4", 215. He's going to give you that boundary, that X receiver. Now you have Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot. I loved what we saw from A.O. Manor last year. So there's some positives. And now you're looking at a group that is more well-rounded. You're kind of getting that, the old school, let's build a basketball team at receiver. You're getting that if you go this route. But also, edge rusher is incredibly deep. I have 6 edge rushers with a round 2 grade. So there's a lot of depth in that position. There's a lot of depth offensive line. You mentioned Caden Proctor could slide through. This could be a spot where maybe Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon, the guard, Maybe he's an option at 34 to shore up that right guard spot. So they should be in really good shape at top of round 2 to find a player that can be a quality starter. I know we've all kind of dunked on this draft class a little bit and said it's not a very good draft class at the top, but it is a good draft class in terms of depth. So the idea that you can walk out of here with 3 starters in the top 100 picks is, I think, really realistic.
Wanted to ask you, Matt, specifically about Zachariah Branch and his skill set, and obviously breaking out as a freshman at USC, transfers to Georgia last season, and really was just an electric playmaker with the ball in his hands. For a player, though, with his route tree and running so many screens and so many jet sweeps, how hard is it to evaluate a player that was utilized the way that he was, and where do you see him fitting in the NFL?
Yeah, that's not a route tree. That's a route bush.
Exactly.
There are no branches on that tree at all. Yeah, it makes it tough. And I think that's where you have to go to traits and you try to project those traits forward, right? And say, okay, we have a player who's not a really big guy, 5'9", 177, really, really fast, really, really quick, explosive. How do you take that and say, okay, we've not seen him run these routes, but we think he could? That's where sort of like the combine and pro days are so important, because you're actually going to get to see a guy do that. You're going to get to see him, run a comeback. You're going to see him run things that require more timing and I think more efficiency in his routes. But it is a struggle, and I think we can look all across the NFL of teams that have tried to go the Zachariah Branch route, and it hasn't worked out for them. And it's why, not to take this to talk about another player, but it's why I'm a Mekhi Lemon fan. It's why I'm a Cornell Tate fan, because I'm tired of projecting route runners. I'd rather just draft guys that know how to run routes instead of saying, let's take a Xavier Worthy and believe that you can teach him to be a route runner. It hasn't happened, right? So why not just draft the good route runner? That's how you get Puka Nacua. That's how you get Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's how you get Justin Jefferson. So I think with Branch, it's it's really intriguing. It's really fun. And maybe there's some moments, but are you getting Sky Moore or are you getting Tyreek Hill? And I think it goes back to the idea of outliers. Is players with his size speed combination are really, really intriguing. They haven't exactly become number 1 receivers in the NFL. In a lot of cases, not even number 2. You end up being a slot gadget guy. And when so many of his passes were not just at the line of scrimmage, they were behind the line of scrimmage. I like to believe that spacing in college makes that much more viable for them to have success. And then bad tackling in college makes it a lot more viable for that to be successful than it will be in the NFL.
We're joined by ESPN's Matt Miller this morning, Matt, and I'm glad you went that route. I'm so ecstatic you went that route. Find guys that specialize in what you're drafting them for. And if you feel this way about Jeremiah Love and your household, I'm on the Sonny Styles train, okay? I'm on the Sonny Corleone train is what I'm telling you right now. I saw the Arvell Reese tape, and Sonny just kept popping up. I'm particularly for the Titans saying Sonny Styles at 4 because you get a foundational piece in the middle for Robert Saleh's defense that he always has a premier inside linebacker. Where are you at on Sonny Styles? Is that too rich for number 4 overall, or where do you see him landing?
I don't think it's too rich. I don't. I'm a fan of his, so I'm with you. I think he's an elite player. To have that type of length, speed, and instincts is rare. And my comparison for him was Fred Warner. So if you could take Fred Warner at 4 overall, would you do it? Yeah, of course you would do it. I think he's rated right now as my number 4 overall player. So the value matches up. And there's going to be the pushback about positional value. In a draft class that doesn't have good players at those core spots. So you already have your quarterback. There's not really a receiver that's going to be a consensus top 5 player. There's not a pass rusher that we feel like is a consensus top 5 player. There's not a corner that's a consensus top 5 player. Why not just draft a guy that you think could be an all-pro or be a high-end Pro Bowler? I think Sonny Styles could be that, and he's still learning the position. He was a safety not that long ago. Now he's an off-ball backer. And I'll tell you, you watch that Ohio State tape, there are times you'll ask yourself, wait, is he the pass rusher or is the other one? Because he looks better as a pass rusher than Arvell Reese does at times. So there's a lot to really fall in love with his game and still where he's going as a prospect.
Matt, I play with probably one of the best, I feel like, that never hit his peak linebackers I've ever seen in my life, and Ryan Shazier. That's who he reminds me of. I saw Shazier in practice when we told him not to race wide receivers and beat him. I don't think he ran his 40 coming out, but he speculated he ran a 4.3. Shazier did. And I feel like ever since him, everybody in the league was trying to find that type. And Fred Warner's there, I feel like, as well. The long, rangy, lanky, great in space, but thumper linebacker. And to me, I feel like this is a second version of him out of respect to anybody else that's been killing it in the league so far. That's just my spiel. Pick either one of them, but I'm a Sonny Styles guy, man.
Yeah, and Sonny Styles is 5 inches taller than Shazier.
I know.
It's like
in a 4.4.
Right. Mid 4.4. You know, and it's like that length, what that does, taking away the middle of the field, it's not just the range and the speed. That's very, very important. But the length is just as important. To be able to just take away windows is crucial.
Matt, I wanted to, on the way out, ask you about Chris Brazzell, and it's such a hot topic, asking about Tennessee receivers, and it feels like locally in Ramon calling the games on the radio for the Vol Network, it feels like here the conversation has been, hey, the system has become a little bit more NFL friendly and projectable for Tennessee with Chris Brazzell maybe running more routes than the deep choice stuff that Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman was doing. Yeah. Did you see that on film, and where do you see Chris Brazzell ultimately falling in the NFL draft?
Yeah, I definitely think you see more polish, more nuance in the passing game, like you said, instead of just like, all right, let's throw opposite hash deep. So I think you're getting that. Brazzell's an interesting player, because the size speed is exactly what you want. I think it's a conversation of, where is he at in terms of, the football knowledge? Because, yes, you were asked to run more routes this year, but what's that ramp-up period going to be like? Is it going to be a situation where, your first year is a crash course because you're going to have to learn a ton just going from that offense to the NFL? And he's not the only player. That's not just a Tennessee thing, but I think that'll be the biggest question. Anytime you're 6'4", 200 pounds, you run a 4.37, there's going to be plenty of intrigue about, your ability as a route runner to be that deep guy. And I think we saw from him really good development from Tulane to Tennessee. Where did you get better every year? You go from being a freshman All-American at Tulane, you end as a first team All-SEC, maybe second team All-SEC this past year. So I think those are the things that you like to see. And then, it's always great when you have some NFL bloodlines and you can see, okay, this is what that player will be, because we've got dad who played in the league, brother plays in the league. And just watch the Georgia game, right? If you want to know who he can be, turn the Georgia game on. And if you can tap into that and get him to be that player, you have someone really special.
He is Matt Miller of ESPN, joining us this morning at NFL Draft Scout, where you follow him on Twitter. Check out the ESPN Draft Daily, ESPN Plus, ESPN2 today at 2 o'clock. Matt, really great stuff as always. Thanks so much for the time.
Appreciate it.
Yep, always appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Matt Miller joining us this morning here on the phones.
Great insight. More than just they're good or they're bad. Like, I enjoyed that. That Zachariah Branch conversation, too, is super unique as well. He made a great point. It's like, okay, well, what else is there when you have this type of speed and size, too? The Tyreek syndrome is kind of what I'm calling it.
And I asked that more
Tyreek Hill
for the entire draft conversation and for his evaluation necessarily more than I did for the Titans, because it feels like the Titans have certainly shored up slot. They have two really good ones in Wan'Dale Robinson and Chimere Dike, so I don't think Zachariah Branch was maybe on the Titans board to begin with. That being said, I do think it raises an interesting discussion, like you mentioned, about what you are asking receivers to do that they've not done before. And teaching certain routes can be a challenge.
It can.
For sure. Coming up, final call for phone calls, 615-737-1045. An electric sporting spectacle in Miami last night between the United States and the Dominican Republic. We'll talk about it next. Wrapping up the show on Ramon and Will. Special thanks to Matt Miller, Ryan Schumpert, and Stoney Keeley for stopping by this morning. Day one of Tennessee spring practice. We'll talk about that more tomorrow with Austin Price at 8:20. Do a spring preview for Tennessee tomorrow in hour one as well. Last night in Miami, the United States takes down the Dominican Republic with the help of some big calls from the home plate umpire. Thank you so much. That's why I'm applauding you. Juan Soto tells Jeff Passan, and I quote, "We showed the world who's the best team in baseball. That's all I got to say." Has Juan Soto been hanging out with Canadian hockey players? What are we doing? Yeah, you showed the world that the United States is the best team in baseball. Roman Anthony's home run, the difference. Gunnar Henderson was put in the lineup by manager Mark DeRosa after being behind Alex Bregman for most of the tournament. That paid dividends with his bomb off Luis Severino. Ramon, you had Albert Pujols saying this would mean more to him than winning the World Series if he was able to manage the Dominican Republic to a World Baseball Classic championship. Well, I guess we'll never know.
I feel him. Pujols is using this as his platform to jump off, man, and be taken serious when it comes down to an MLB management job. Like, I absolutely feel his take on that. And Pujols, to me, is a legend of the game. He's done tremendous things for St. Louis in his time being there as well. One of those dudes in my book, personally. So I get it. That Dominican team is stacked. And the United States answered last night, man. You got to give a tip of the cap to, of course, Paul Skeens, who led that, also gave up a bomb early, and they've been able to bounce back. It was fun watching him go at it. It was fun watching that game. You had two different polarizing sides and how they choose to go at each other, and it was fun watching. If you like baseball, you needed to watch that one last night. You mentioned it a second ago, the young guys, man, I guess, and Gunnar Henderson and Roman Anthony being able to just step up to the plate and do what they did, because the pitching from the DR is heavy. Those guys bring it. They were able to get Aaron Judge twice, one on the strikeout. My son, RJ, who's a pitcher as well. It's like he's going to hit him with he's going to hit Judge with the sweeper. And I'm listening to RJ talk about it because apparently that is his hit he can't make. Third strikeout pitch, sweeper, just like struck out. And then, of course, we thought he went yard, and Rodriguez from the Mariners ended up catching him at the wall, man. What an electric game.
It was so fun.
It was fun.
It was really, really fun. Tonight, Italy and Venezuela.
The Italians.
Yeah.
All right.
The Italians, which are mostly Americans with like Italian grandparents, but
the Sunday sauce.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And Venezuela's win over Japan in Miami was also electric in the quarterfinal round, but should be fun. Aaron Nola getting the ball tonight for the Italians, which would put up Michael Lorenzen for the championship tomorrow if they were able to win. And Lorenzen is the one who pitched against the U.S. when Italy won in pool play against the United States. Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Venezuelans on the other side.
A lot of great baseball going on. If you're not watching preseason baseball right now, the San Francisco Giants, you Vols fans.
Look at you making everything about football.
I am. I do this.
Okay.
Savage tells me I got a problem in doing this all the time. But what I'm getting at is, watch this. It's not just good baseball. It's great baseball. I feel like these dudes are taking it light enough, but the competitive spirit is prevalent. And how they're approaching the plate. You got to give it up for Rodriguez also from the Mariners. He took a 98 miles per hour ball to the wrist area.
And stayed in, and then he made his robbery catch right after that.
Oh, speaking of robbery.
Okay.
Fernando Tatis. Sir.
Yeah, just gunned down by Aaron Judge. Not a smart decision to run in that spot. Never make the third out of third.
He hesitated to.
Never make the third out of third. Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, the difference of the game, too, was Austin Wells having to break back to second and not run to third on the ball that was hit into center to give the Dominican runners on second and third in the eighth inning with just one out against David Bednar.
Tatis again. Because he got hosed down in that, the second inning or whatever it was, he didn't even chance it. I'm looking at Tatis, I'm thinking to myself, he's supposed to be this phenomenal athlete, should be, but brother, we got to get the conditioning up. What in the world? Now, that's also a bionic arm, and Aaron Judge out of right field as well. I think they said they clocked his outfield pitch from right field at 96 miles per hour on a line, man. Easy out by Aaron Judge at that point, and Schemes was hype about that as well too.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I mean, you had Aaron Judge saying the crowd is better than what he experienced in the World Series. Yeah, you had Pujols saying this would be the biggest thing he's done in his career, and he's won multiple World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been really fun, and we got to get Bryce Harper going tomorrow night. I know he had a double in the game last night, but he has not been good at all. Cal Raleigh got benched because he said his swing's just not in a good place yet. And Will Smith came into the lineup and he hit. He had a single last night. So we'll see. But if you've not been watching it tomorrow night, this championship, we'll talk more about it tomorrow, of course, and depending on who the matchup is. But it is easy to get just kind of apathetic about 162 game season. These wins and losses don't matter that much. Long year, especially if you don't have a rooting interest.
Yeah.
We all have rooting interests in this one because it's the United States, and every game is a Game 7 at this point. It is absolutely electric, and the crowds are awesome in Miami.
Is Mike Trout hurt?
He couldn't get an insurance policy.
You serious?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a big thing coming into the tournament is could guys get insurance policies that would give them relief and still give them their game checks if they got hurt in the WBC.
Like Edwin Diaz.
And so I think there were enough injury-prone players like him who couldn't get the policy they wanted. He's like, I'd love to play, but not at that risk.
Got to protect it.
Because he's always hurt. He's never finished the season totally healthy.
His representation would be huge, though.
Back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., the start of all spring practice today. Josh Heupel's meeting at the media right now. I'll give you some of the highlights on that tomorrow and continue the best sports week, potentially of the entire year, Ramon Foster.
But remember at all times, get your brackets done and your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.